Hi.
Hello, are you talking to us?
No, I'm just. Yes.
Oh,
It's obvious. I'm standing there.
well, I heard talking in the background to someone's mic. I don't know whose mic it is.
Yeah, sorry. I was talking to my sister, telling her how interesting this is.
Yeah, it's super cool that we're literally can just wander around and talk to people from across the world about Cardano. It's pretty freaking sweet.
About everything. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
you pick you pick the topic. That's why it's so amazing. It's really amazing. I'm feeling like a small child.
Yeah, seriously, this is like new world stuff right here.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, it doesn't matter how old are you and how what experience you have. It doesn't matter. This is really great.
I'm trying to figure out.
Do you know when the videos are starting? I hope soon.
It says when you open up the three lines in the top right, so it shows 38 minutes. If you hit the three lines on the top right, and then just go to like the first tab on the bottom.
Sorry, I did. What I have to do? Where?
If you hit the three lines in the top right, and then on the bottom left of that little pop out, just
Yes.
hit the I, and make sure you're under information. It'll tell you when it starts. It says starts in 37 minutes.
Hit the I.
Hit the information button.
Let me see.
Hmm.
That one with the question mark. That is for technical support.
Correct. You hit the opposite. Hit the one on the other side. The I.
The first one with I. Yes.
Yep. And then make sure you go to information, and it'll tell you when the next video starts.
Okay. And it's just information.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it says 37 minutes.
Correct. Also, if you want to travel between worlds, hit the four circles on the bottom. It's like the third icon. You can click any of those, and it'll take you to them, straight to them.
I don't have to walk to the portal.
Correct. Correct. You can just click on whichever one you want.
Yeah, that's more practical than walking on to each portal.
Especially when it's lagging on main island. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I feel when I walk to the portal, I feel lost because I have to look all the time where I am.
Yeah. It's a struggle.
No, it's fun. I was laughing. It wasn't hard. It was fun.
어? 누구? 네.
And the thing, if you want to talk to somebody, you just stop.
누구요? 음.
Enjoy the conversation. It's amazing.
Yeah. You just walk up and can talk to anyone you want to.
Yes. It was nice talking to you. Thank you for the help.
No problem. Yeah. Take it easy.
I'm going to click on the other stages and see what's going on.
Yeah. Make sure you visit each one, and you'll get an NFT. So just go to each one.
Yes, I understand. And I understood that very shortly when I came in, but I was struggling with the portals.
Yeah. Yeah. Understandable. All right. Take it easy, man. Nice to meet you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
아이고.
I'm gonna step out of the portal for now. I'm gonna just kind of hang out, have fun. Whee! We're just gonna hang out here. Wait for the summit to start. We got like 30 minutes. Make sure you grab some food and drink or whatever you need. Let's see. It's 10:24. Do do do. Welcome to the channel. Anyone who's here for the summit, if you obviously if you registered, you can get in yourself. But oh, everyone disappeared. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, everyone's coming back. Yeah, no problem, man. I don't know if I'm even allowed to be doing this, to be honest with you. I would assume they let you live stream it. You wouldn't get in trouble for it. I'm just I'm helping the people who either didn't sign up in time or didn't realize it, I guess. I lost my YouTube chat. Yeah, of course we're not going to scam people here. Well, that's not the lifestyle we live. Oh geez, there's a ton of people joining voice chat. Oh, because he's live streaming it. Snitches get stitches for sure. Let's see, we got pinned messages. Let me ask. Let me just verify. I don't want to cause any issues. Am I able to live stream on YouTube? Oh, I didn't want the link to populate like that. So let's see, we got a schedule ahead of us here. Yeah, the world can be definitely a little laggy. Obviously I have no people in my world right now too. But you can if you hit the 3 lines up here and you hit the 4 squares. Oh, you can't see my mouse. Why is it? Why can't you see my mouse? Hold on. Capture cursor done. Okay, so I still don't think. Oh, there you go. So if you hit the hit the 3 lines in the top right and hit the 4 squares, you can actually travel between any of these just by clicking on them. So we can kind of just bounce around. People aren't loading, so I'm guessing they've probably turned it off for now. But yeah, we're just gonna live stream it. That way you guys can watch. I'll try to keep the stream up as long as I can for the day, but I may like walk away from the computer. So also, let's do this. I lost my. You are a star. Awesome. Cool. I'm allowed to stream it, I guess, because it would seem so. So we'll just we'll get as close as we can before the camera messes up. Because the actually wait, we'll just do first. So we have 27 minutes, guys. Make sure you grab drink, water, food, whatever you need. Energy drinks to stay awake. If you could, like, hit the thumbs up button and maybe push the link out to other people. That way, we don't have. Maybe we can get ahead of the fake Cardano YouTube channels, which are all over the place. And let's see, what can I do to help support people watching the channel? I will do. How would I do a giveaway? Is there an easy way to do a giveaway? Like if I wanted to support people who are stopping in just to watch the summit, just to be helpful. Like not because I'm eventually going to make this channel into something because I don't plan on it, but I don't know how to use anything. How do you use the dashboard? Is it Studio? There it is. Oh, I am live. Is there an easy way to do giveaways? Does anyone know how to do giveaways? There we go. We're still live, right? We're still live. Hello, hello. There we go. Cool. Is there a cool like giveaway feature? Participants pop out chat toggle timestamps. No. How do people do giveaways here? Share, create highlight. If anyone would continue to just post that link out on Twitter or I will at Charles Hoskins tweet, copy the link. Yeah, I can't find the items because the world's too laggy. I wish I could, but the world is just generally too laggy. If anyone wants to boost the YouTube video, YouTube stream, so we get ahead of those pesky fake streams. I am just someone who is super into Cardano and what it really is going to bring. Other than that, I am a nobody in the crypto world. But I'm mainly just here to listen to the summit and then kind of get the takeaway information from it. So how to get the NFTs? So in order to get the NFTs, one thing I'd recommend is go to each zone. So just travel to each zone. I'll try to go to the main stage. It'll probably be laggy unless they fixed it by turning off models. It would seem like it's still heavily laggy. So we're just gonna stay in our we're gonna go back to the utility one. Go to impact and head into the water, and you get one. Okay. Like the waterfall water. Let me see what. Let me see which ones I have. Is it this? I got all of these. Boom, boom. We need the flying stingrays, gentle turtle. Is it? Let's just go to each zone. We'll go to each zone. We have time to kind of kill, so we can adventure around. Let's see. So I got the tree. I got the tree one just by sitting in a group and chatting, or it was super laggy. So I don't, I don't honestly know where I got it from. If only the main zone wasn't so laggy, you could actually explore right now. Because I think the magical bison is in the. I think the magical bison is he's like he like randomly pops up, and you have to like see him or get close to him. But you can only do it in the main world, which is unfortunate. Yeah, if you're lagging, and let me turn off audio, background music, and environment. We'll just go back to. Actually, we'll turn in background music. Is there a volume bar? There's not. You got the bison from the waterfalls? If you're lagging, it's because the main zone's just laggy. It's because there's so many people either connecting or just running around that it's causing issues. Let's just go to each zone. So we're at Catalyst. Let's go to Community. Oh, there's way more people in Community. Is the volume good for now? Once we get the summit started, like once we actually get speakers, I'll have to adjust the volume, but I don't want to blare it while we're kind of just hanging out together here. Let me back. Oh. Okay. Let's can we get behind the screen? No, you can't get behind the screen. They got invisible walls everywhere. Yeah, I think it's completely random, and it also may be lag is attributing to like when you get the if you got the bison from the waterfall, did you see the bison? Oh. Or maybe we just have to sit under the water for a period of time because it looks like there's like a crowd of people just hanging out here. Let's go to third person. Whee! Whee! Let's see. Let's do fly. Oh, we can't fly view. Maybe let's go to the main island and do fly view. Oh, bear with us as it lags a little bit. Cardano to the moon for sure. All right, let's just let's get a laggy look at the world here. Is there? Oh, you don't actually get to control anything. We're just like floating around. So laggy. It's fine. Let's see. Let's search Twitter. Charles. See if I have any updates. Charles, what are you doing? Let's see. 13 minutes ago. Oh, he's talking about the Billy Gibbons stuff. Let's make sure you hit the like button so that way we can try to. Oh, well, the world's actually loading quickly. But yeah, hit the like button. Oh, that is the turtle. Look. Turtle. Make sure you hit the like button so we can try to get ahead of those fake streams. But let me see. How do we do a YouTube giveaway? How to do a YouTube giveaway? What's the best way to do a YouTube giveaway? How do I do a YouTube giveaway? Does anyone know how to do a fairly easy one? I'm not looking for like an annoying. Let's see. Just want to pick random names from YouTube stream. Is that like a thing? Is there like a tool for this? Let's see. Oh wait. Here we go. Something's happening. It's loud. Holy crap. This is pretty sweet. Let me know how the audio is. If it's too soft, too loud, I can turn it up, turn it down. Okay. Hey, did I complete something? No. Alright, that's fine. It's fine, we got 13 minutes. Let's see. Maybe we need to go to these waterfalls. Bum, 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 bum. Where's the turtle? I mean the bison. We saw the turtle. Okay, let's see. Can I do this? Retweet this for a chance Chance to win 25 Cardano. 25 ADA. Boop. Boop. Cool. Does that work? All right. What happened? Cool. Yeah. Retweet that tweet, and yeah. Over the next hour, I'll go ahead and pick 2 or 3 winners. We'll give away some Cardano. We'll give away some Cardano. Thank you, rotating dude. We'll give away Cardano. What is going on? All right, hold on. Give me 1 second. This is locked up. Let's first of all, give me a second. We will reload the website. I hope I didn't get kicked out. That would suck. Hold on. We're loading it up right now. All right, we're back. Quick. Hold on, let's boop, boop. Get that visualized again, full screen it so we can get the full experience. Sorry about that. World lagged out. Hey, but all these people show up now, and it's not super laggy. Also, I was just informed that if you just stare at this, if you just stare here for a second, you get the turtle. So we'll just we'll stare at that for a second while we wait. Thank you for the retweets, guys. I see a couple more people obviously hit the retweet button. What I will do is once Charles starts speaking, I think he's speaking for... Hold on, I'll get the schedule. He is speaking for 45 minutes. After that 45-minute period, we will draw... we'll do 2 winners after that 45 minutes, and then we'll bounce around and see if we can go learn something cool. Let's see. So we may ask if anyone wants like a certain spot to go to. But yeah. Make sure you hit that like button on YouTube and go ahead and send the link out so that way we can try to beat these bots. I mean, they have 2.1k people watching, so it's going to be a hard beat there, but we'll give it a shot. Post that link. Maybe we can, well, how long we got? We got 10 minutes? 8 minutes. I'll just leave it like this. Uh-oh. It's in and out, freezing. Have I got the turtle? No. We got a couple minutes, so let me see if I can get the video out as well here. I always forget that I gotta wait 15 seconds. and we will go in. We'll do first person and just hang out here. Boom, 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 boom. We'll turn up the volume a little bit because we're getting ready to see the speaker. Hello. Hello. Cool. Good talk. Good chat. I do not know what that says. I have a couple of the NFTs, the collectibles. If you could keep it to English only, because I don't know how to. What is this? Is this? Give me a second. Korean. I don't know how to read Korean. So if you could try to speak in or speak, could you try to type in English? I can try to help. I have 3: Tree of Life, Cardano logo, and beautiful butterflies. I haven't gotten turtle, even though I've literally stared at the turtle. And magical bison is supposedly around the. You're supposed to run around this world. Let's go. Starts in 5 minutes. So maybe it's like a. Oh gosh, the lag has started. We got 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And I'm going to actually take this 5-minute time period. First of all, we're going to get out of this because it's going to lag. Can you teach me how to get the... I only know how to... So, the NFTs are just based on, like... Just simply based on, are you exploring the world, chat with people, sit in like a little chat session. Here, let's see what these people are talking about. Hello?
What's up?
Nothing. Just seeing what these groups are all chatting about. I'm live streaming on YouTube, so that way people on YouTube have a chance to see it if they can't get in.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool story, bro. Yeah, bro. All right, well, you guys have fun. Take it easy. Bye. Let's go find another. Let's go hang out with these people. Hello, everyone. Hello. We got like 3 minutes, maybe. I always click that. 3 minutes. Let me go get a drink. I will leave us in first person, and I will put us as close to the screen like this as possible. All right, give me 1 sec. I'm going downstairs to get a energy drink while we have 3 minutes left. All right, we're back. We have a orange mango accelerator. The NFTs, I don't think they're hard to find. I think it's just laggy, so it doesn't help finding them, unfortunately. I've been told like just to run around the water or hang out in the waterfalls, but it just seems laggy. So I honestly, it's probably too late to try to get them, just due to that lag. 11. These are all the same, so you can see them all. So we have till about 12:30. Building a new partnership ecosystem. This is what I'm curious about. Let's see. Let's look at the schedule while we got a couple seconds. I will have subtitles in English. Actually, let me just make sure. Oh, good call, because they definitely were on earlier, but now they're not. There will be subtitles in English, depending on how good this website does. If not, you can probably turn on subtitles for YouTube, because I will not be talking while they are talking. Ooh, Charles and special music guest at 7 p.m. Cool. Community and Catalyst must be day 2. Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, so if you registered, the trick is just to re-register, but understandably there's probably a little bit of lag right now with a lot of people doing that. Also, as Pepe, or I know Ergo. Yes, I actually mine Ergo, but not anything major, and I only just started mining Ergo, so we're talking like I think I mine one Ergo every week. Yeah, if you re-registered and you still haven't got it, the only thing I could probably think of is checking spam and whatnot to make sure you're not missing it somewhere. Or just their mail servers are super laggy right now, so you're probably just gonna have to wait. You could even try using another email. I don't know if you used like a Yahoo or some like different email, or if you use like a Gmail. So that's definitely an option as well. Make sure the pinned, go ahead and hit that retweet. Once
Guy who's running this event and put it all together doesn't get mad at me if I go early, because that's when the live stream starts. So can you guys do that? Sound good?
Let me just.
Good. Oh, look at that. Says where we are. Good. Who's
here we go, guys.
Operator in here? Yeah? ADA holder? Everybody. Nice. Plutus Pioneer. Whoa! We have a ton of Plutus Pioneers. Welcome. It's going to be an incredible 2 days. 4, 3, 2, 1. Join me in bringing out the man responsible for the Cardano blockchain, the CEO of Input Output, Charles Hoskinson.
Thank you so much, Eric. Your selfie. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rough and Rugged, Wyoming. God, I love that reverb. Awesome. So, the lobster has a name. Thanks to all of you. We wrote the lobster contract. You guys participated, and guess what it is? Logan. Logan the lobster. I'll put him over here. He'll watch the speech. He has the best seat in the house. Well, welcome to Rough and Rugged, Wyoming.
I have it so you can see the subtitles at the bottom, okay?
For example, wanted to build a road. I said, well, we need to do some blasting. They said, okay, just go buy some dynamite. I said, do you need a permit for that? Not in Wyoming. That was fun. Anyway, Cardano started a long time ago. It started in a bar in Osaka. February of 2015. Some guys got together and they said it would be really cool to do something like an Ethereum of Japan. And then somewhere along the way, slowly but surely, it transformed from something that was a good idea with a little bit of alcohol, maybe a lot, to what we have here today, which is one of the largest, most prominent cryptocurrency blockchain projects in the entire world. I've been told that at this moment, over 80,000 people have registered and are watching across the world, more than 100 countries. There are people here, there are people in London, Cape Town, Tokyo, all across the world. Events all across the world, just like you, building, thinking, dreaming. So I took a moment to reflect, what is this all about? Why are we here? What are we doing? What are we trying to accomplish? Where does all the resilience come from? Cardano is special in that it probably is the most resilient of all cryptocurrencies, perhaps outside of Bitcoin. How do we know that? Because we get shit from everybody. Yet we're still here. We're still alive. We're thriving. We're growing. You know, I remember when we announced the Ministry of Education deal. We spent 3.5 years to negotiate that. Closed it during a civil war. What was the reception in the industry? They said, oh, well, anybody can do that. Well, then who did? Just us. I remember CoinDesk. After the New York Times announced the deal, they said, well, we can't confirm it, even though we have a video of the minister himself talking about it. We're waiting for comment from the ministry. Maybe it's the ministry's secretary who has to confirm it. And I just wonder, why the hell do these people come at us? Well, it's because this is a movement that's united by one general principle, which is we're crazy enough to dream that we can. There's a lot of optimism in this room. There's a lot of belief in this room that we can do things that no one has ever done before. You don't like your government? Rebuild the damn thing. You don't like your money? Make new money. And as an example, I was sitting in my office a few months ago, and I have this stuffed lobster that we bought, and just sitting there, and I said, you know what, let's make this thing alive. So I grab it, and I move it a few feet, and I put it on my microphone, and now it's begun a journey. Everybody in the whole community knows about it. It's got a
Yeah,
name.
I can go full screen. I was leaving it for
Reach out to me. We're gonna do a graphic novel
closed
about the
captioning.
lobster. And you know what? We're sure as hell going to NFT it. You know that's happening. Decades from now, it's going to become something that's real. A stuffed lobster, move it 5 feet, and it becomes something alive. This is not a superpower that I have. It's a superpower because of this platform. The idea is here that all of you have, every single one of you. That's why Cardano is viewed sometimes well, sometimes not so well. It is an instrument of change for the world. Where we started so long ago, 2015, and the journey that we've gone on, we've seen the growth of an ecosystem to a community in the millions. We have seen national press, we have seen heads of state make deals with us, shook hands with a lot of people. And where are we going? Well, I'll tell you, we're just going to keep growing. We're just going to keep changing. And Cardano in the coming years will be more defined by the things you do rather than the things that I did. And that's what makes it so special, it's so powerful and so durable. Look at Catalyst. When we started that last year, a few hundred people. Not a lot. Just a little bit of conversations. You could literally fit all of the people participating in a Zoom call if you wanted to. Now there are tens of thousands. As we go into 2022, there'll be hundreds of thousands, millions eventually. How much collective knowledge, intelligence, capability, execution is embedded in that? How do you stop that? Especially when it's completely recursive, it's self-bootstrapping. The community's in control of the funds, the community's in control of the ideas, they're in charge of the challenges, they're in charge of the ventures. The ones who do well continue to get funding. The ones who don't die off. That's a self-evolving system that continues to grow and bootstrap. You blink, and it's an army. You blink again, and it's a nation. You blink again, and it's the whole world. And that's just one thing inside Cardano. We look at the progress with Ouroboros. Years ago, we said, hey, let's figure out a better way of doing things, a better engine that can process billions of transactions for billions of people. Well, it turned out to do that, you had to do a whole bunch of theory. Everybody thought we were crazy because we had to solve a half dozen really hard problems in computer science. Not to be dissuaded, we did, as a community, as an ecosystem. Paper after paper, being mocked the entire time and way. Didn't matter. Kept the head high, went through the peer review process, and now look at what we have. We have Proust, Genesis, Chronos, Redux, all these papers that basically laid out the entire corpus of the theory of proof of stake. We didn't just write a protocol, we invented a new field of science just for this project. And that's just another thing. We look at Plutus. We launched Alonzo back in September. Well, September this month. September 12th. A little tired. And we've introduced the extended UTXO model. Now, where the hell did this thing come from? Did we invent it? Yeah. But it was inspired by ideas and concepts that were started 12 years ago. And ideas and concepts in the functional programming world have been around for 40 years. And they were merged together. Why? Because we look to the future. How will people use these systems in 2025, 2030, 2040, 2050, when you have billions and billions of transactions and applications and nation states running these things, doing their voting systems, their payment systems, their stock markets? It's not practical and feasible to run all of these things on some bizarre virtual machine in the sky. The point is the ledger is the proof checker. The point is the ledger is the validator. It's the thing that gives you certainty that what the person has told you is right. So simple of a concept. Yet, almost everyone in this space is ignoring that and chasing the exact opposite. Trying to take something like the Java virtual machine and just make it run in the sky. It's a fool's errand. It makes no sense. Satoshi actually got it right. He just didn't have the resources and the knowledge necessary to take it to its logical conclusion, because that required us 4 years and a team of scientists who have been building programming languages for decades. That's hard. And we stood on the shoulders of giants, dozens of papers, dozens of ideas and projects, things like BitML and Simplicity from Blockstream and other places, who were thinking about exactly this same problem. And that's just one thing in this model. You need sidechains, you need light clients, you need all these other features and capabilities. This is the point of the project. It's an innovation engine. We're never, ever once distracted or dissuaded. We don't succumb to pessimism. We keep saying the same thing. We can do it. It might take 10 years, but damn it, we'll get it done. That's the Cardano way, and you're all part of that. And that's what makes this special. You see, the world is changing. When we look throughout the 21st century, because of technology, because of globalization, everything is up for grabs. Our institutions are fading. There's a lack of trust and dignity and respect between people. Things that we used to take for granted as kids are no longer solid and stable. A decade ago, if I heard something from the CDC, I'd believe it absolutely. I don't anymore. A decade ago, if we were told something from a prestigious scientific institution, we just take it on canon. Most people in society, they have a little bit of skepticism. Even the integrity of elections has been challenged. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. The fact that the crowd, the swarm, the masses of society are having troubles digesting this in meaningful percentages is destroying society. Add that to the fact that our monetary systems are crumbling. We are told that it's okay to print $6 trillion out of thin air in this nation and that we won't have any inflation at all. Anybody buy any wood lately? Food lately? And then the people who supposedly know what's going on, what do they tell us? They say, well, as long as you exclude the price of meat and chicken and pork, price of food's not so bad. This is what we're told. So what does it mean? It means that everyone in the world is taking a step back, and they're saying the time has come for new systems. The time has come for a return to honesty and integrity. The time has come for us to trust each other somehow in some way. Why does our industry command such a large market cap and so much evangelism and so much passion? It's because this is the only industry that's figured out a path to get us there without an empire, a path to get us there without kings and presidents and dictators. This is an industry that promises us that there is a way to solve the problems of the future, whatever they may be. The problems that emergent technology gives us, the fact that we're burning our planet out at an alarming rate, species going extinct all the time, the problem of all the violence that's come, the instability that's come. Totalitarian theological regimes have somehow resumed ruling nations. These problems, they're very real. And in the past, how we've always solved it is, go find an empire to go clean it up. Let them rule the world for a century or two. If you're in the in crowd, it's a good life. And for everybody else, so sorry, maybe you'll have the turn next. I don't want to live in that world anymore, and I don't think you do either. I'd like to live in a world where everyone is treated fairly. Everyone is treated with honesty and respect and dignity and transparency. These are basic things. We put them in constitutions. We put them in laws. We promise each other we'll treat each other this way. But you know what happens? Humans happen. And while the individual may be virtuous, the collective, somehow, some way, if left unrestrained and unrestricted, they sometimes have problems. The magic of this industry is that we can create almost an artificial law of physics for society. We can take the rights that we believe that we have earned and should have, that we should be born with, and we can put it into a blockchain. And then suddenly people can't cheat. The most powerful way of demonstrating that is what Bitcoin accomplished. You see, all these monetary systems, they say, oh, well, no, they have rules and predictability, and we won't intervene until we do. Then suddenly this thing comes out that promises 21 million. That's it. Can't change it. Can't reverse it. These are the rules, regardless of the circumstances. Then you see Silk Road happen. Mt. Gox happen. You see dozens of massive issues happen. You see nation states get involved and yell at it. Has it changed once? No. Not even when the core developers themselves were on the losing end of the game. And what does that mean? It means that if you can take those concepts and principles and put them into social systems that secure your vote, your voice, your dignity as a person, no matter who's on top, you're going to be treated fairly. That's the unifying theme, despite all the tribalism and the sectarianism and the fights that we've noticed in this industry that keeps us together, is that we just want to be treated better. We just want institutions that don't lie to us. We just want predictability. We just want to live in a world that's peaceful instead of one that's filled with chaos. Now, how do we get there? This all sounds good and fine. Well, first you have to build an army. We've got a pretty good one right here, don't we? Then you have to arm your army. And what do you arm them with? You arm them with knowledge and tools and capabilities. You first have to convince them that they have a lot of power collectively and individually. You have to give them the ability to think about how they want to live their lives. They have to give them things that they can give to others. So, provisioning. Well, we give them Catalyst. We got that. Then you got to give them a platform upon which they can do commerce, express themselves, their voice, their vision, their vote. So what's coming? Well, we've 3 eras into this. We have Byron down, That was very hard because we had to learn how to do that. We have Shelley, and now we have thousands of stake pool operators. Cardano is completely independent. It's run by them. It's a decentralized movement. It's a virtual resource. It is damn near impossible to shut the network down now. Cardano has become like Mick Jagger. It shall never die. That was Shelley. Goguen was programmability. It was the ability to start running things. In the coming months and years, we will see hundreds and then thousands and then tens of thousands of decentralized applications built by you, the community, empowered by Catalyst, empowered by collaborations. And those applications will run DEXs and oracles and voting systems and NFT marketplaces. Those are the things we see today. But eventually those applications are going to start covering bigger and bigger pieces of society. One of the reasons why Africa is so promising as a marketplace is because that entire continent is going through a massive upgrade right now. All the legal systems are being updated. All the infrastructure is being updated. The voting systems, all these things. The next 5 to 10 years, all of Africa is going to be completely online and completely digital, and they have no loyalty or preferences to anything in the legacy world. There are no grand Microsofts and Facebooks and Goldman Sachs and JP Morgans to contend with. And there's a tireless population who's very young. Many of the countries, over 70% of the people are under the age of 30, who grew up as digital natives, and they see the world they could have, the places they could go, the things they could achieve and accomplish. And thus, they vote for that. They protest for that. They fight for that. No one wants to live in a corrupt place. No one wants to live in a place of hopelessness and will never get there. So guess what? Give collectively billions of people those kinds of tools, and they're going to have a revolution. That's exactly what is going to occur. And they're going to build something so much better than what we have here. They're going to build institutions far more durable. And hopefully they're going to build it on Cardano. That's our labor, our pursuit. That's why we fight so hard. We're traveling all around as much as we can. And so far we brought in millions. And if they do that, those systems will run at costs that are orders of magnitude lower than the systems we have right now. Remittances will be the cheapest in the world. Credit will be the cheapest in the world. Best insurance system in the world. Most reliable voting systems. You talk about liquidity. The most efficient stock markets. The ability to take a $5 million company and have a micro IPO. These are the experiments that are going to be conducted in Kenya and Ethiopia and Rwanda and many other places. And you know what that means is they're going to work. And when they work, they'll create billions and then eventually trillions of dollars of wealth. And with wealth, there's power. And the rest of the world will see that. And they'll say, me too, I want to get on that. But the only way they can is to become like us, to join this movement, to change the way those systems work, to demand integrity and inclusive accountability and transparency and all the things that we're now enabling. Now, there's a lot of work to do. The rest of the roadmap has things like Basho and Voltaire, and next year is the first year where we do 2 of them instead of 1. We're already working real hard. We've been working for 3-4 years now on Basho, for 4 years on Voltaire. So what happens? Well, main chain, the programming model improves. Keep doing things to make the developer experience better. It's going to be kludgy for a few months.
I don't use my Twitch very often, so if you're over there, thank you.
But applications come out.
I don't
Special
use it that often.
accommodations are made to make them run faster and more optimally, these types of things. So there's a lot of Shelley-related work and Goguen-related work that's in the cleanup crew. And there's a whole group of people that worry about that. There's more than 12 development companies at this point that work on Cardano's core infrastructure all across the world. SUD never sleeps on development of Cardano. Basho is about saying, okay, let's get the Hydra age here. Let's get a lot of this traffic into the hands of the stake pools, get it off-chain, into side chains, to explore with new computational models. There is a place for technology like Ethereum. There is a place for technology like Yella. There is a place for technology that has yet to be invented. The point of Basho is to open that up and bring it to the ecosystem so that we can run at a scale of millions to billions of users sustainably. The point of Voltaire is to ensure that this system system is forever in the hands of the people who care the most about it, you, the community, and all that come after you. We've already seen the beginnings of this with Catalyst, but there's a lot more work to do. Protocol parameters have to be in the control of the community completely. The SIP process has to be strengthened. We have to create standards process, especially at the smart contract layer. In addition to that, the hard fork combinator has to be totally in the control of the community. All of these things, these are cleanups. But in the process of doing that, we also have to do things like write a constitution for Cardano. Why not? You have rights. Monetary policy is different than just adding a new ledger rule. Adding a post-quantum signature scheme is fundamentally different than deciding whether to add a new sidechain or not. So there needs to be a hierarchy of concerns here. And how do you write a constitution? You write it with the people, and that's what we're going to be doing with you. We're going to come together, ratify that, put that right into the ledger, and treat it like a biological system where Cardano understands its own design. Spent all this time writing formal specifications. One good reason to do that is so that you get high-quality software. But another good reason to do formal specifications is that it's the DNA of the system. And what do cells have? DNA inside of them. The system should know itself and its own design. Because then, any person who has a full node has a full copy of all that meta, all of that design. That's how you create resilient organisms that can never die, is you build in redundancy into them. You build in replication into them. And you create a process upon which that DNA can evolve. And then we'll see dozens of commercial clients flow from that. If you don't like Haskell, it's okay. We have Rust, JavaScript, Python, Java, mainstream languages that mainstream developers know. It's important that when you're doing new things, you do it right and it's correct and you have high assurance. But let's be honest here. There's a reason there's 25 million developers. There's a reason there's a diversity of programming languages and thought and infrastructure. So as the Voltaire age grows and we get the DNA of the system, the specification of the system into the chain itself, and the community's in control of where do we go in the deep future, there's also going to be a Cambrian explosion of infrastructure. We're already seeing this with DC Spark, building all this beautiful Rust infrastructure. Projects like Ada Lite, I think there's one called CC Wallet. There's dozens of these floating around. And right now they're nascent and young, but with the resources of Catalyst, the rigor of the community, the ability to follow a process, they will grow. And over time, they will grow to be larger, bigger, and better than anything we see in the rest of the space because they're built from the bottom up, resilient. Dozens of them will become hundreds of them. Dozens of languages will become hundreds of languages. And this ecosystem will continue to strengthen, continue to be more useful. Now, a lot of people call us a ghost chain, which is just damn perplexing. I even wore a Ghostbusters outfit just to prove a point. And so, if we're a ghost chain, how can we get such great partners? We mentioned the mystery of education. Well, did you know for the last few months we've been negotiating with a Fortune 250 company? We closed the deal. So who did we close with? Well, talking about digital transformation of the individual and the rights of humanity, that's fun, but businesses need to transform as well. So there happened to be a great business that came by the office a few months ago, and they said, hey, you know, we're right now in the middle of a giant transformation of our business, and we would like to have a discussion about how do we bring blockchain into this? How do we use these techniques and concepts like DIDs and microtransactions and having a wallet right on the cell phone? How do we pull those pieces together? Well, that company was Dish. And we said, boy, that sounds like a lot of fun. Let's go workshop that. About 3-4 days a week of meetings, again and again and again. We eventually got to a point where we made a deal with Boost Mobile to put DIDs, decentralized identifiers, on every single phone. 8 million of them. So that's just an example, and there's so much to build on top of that. One can build wallet infrastructure. They can build a DApp store. They can do all kinds of things and bring this to the consumer's phone, just like that. Now, why us? Well, because there's peer review, there's high assurance software, and there's just a damn good community that cares about these things. The other thing is, when you think about the growth model there, where is Dish going? They're becoming an ISP. You guys know about T-Mobile, you know about Sprint, you know about Verizon. These are cell phone companies, right? Well, Dish is a telco company, and they're moving into the 5G space and connectivity. In the coming years, more than 70% of America is going to be covered by their 5G network. Well, how do you build a network like that? You build it differently. You build it with new technology. You build it with new standards. And maybe you can build it with a little bit of blockchain in it. How about they be the first ISP to figure that one out? And that's the magic and beauty of the technology that we are building here today. It's built to last, and it's built to transform things. Your life as individuals, the lives of Fortune 250 companies, the lives of governments themselves, takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of heroism. It takes a lot of unique advancements and developments and challenges that exist. But we're never dissuaded by that because we were born of resilience. First, as an industry that was always mocked. Second, as an ecosystem that never seems to get a fair shake in the media and never seems to get a fair consideration. And third, as people. We're here to stay. Cardano's here to stay. Voltaire and Basho are just beginnings to a new era, the Cardano 2025 era. Let's look at the challenges before us. In the next 10 to 20 years, there will probably be quantum computers. That's a dragon we got to slay. But we're going to do that together. In the next 10, 20 years, we're probably through this movement going to invent entirely new ways of voting and governing. We have to contend with difficult questions like confidentiality and privacy. How much privacy should you have? Under what circumstances can things be de-anonymized? These are super difficult questions because there's the rights of the individual, the rights of the society. Over the next 10 or 20 years, we see an unholy alliance between governments and corporations to create this surveillance capitalism. You see it every day with Facebook and Google and social credit in China and other places. People working together, indirectly or directly, where you don't own your own data. You don't own the perception of you, the metadata about you. There's going to be a pushback. The pendulum will swing in the other direction. The concepts of self-sovereign identity, of you owning yourself, your data, your identity, these things. Well, we have to figure that out. There's no rules for any of these things. We're pioneers in this respect. It's an entirely new global society. Why? Because the things that happen in Ethiopia matter here in Wyoming. The things that happen here in Wyoming matter in Chile. They matter in Japan. Humanity has never lived this way before. We've never lived with such a global commons. We were always so local. So, the next 10, 20 years, we have to figure out together, how are we going to do that? How are we going to build systems that are more open? One of the most magical things about the DApp space is we're also talking a lot about liberating applications in general from the control of the few. It's not fair that Microsoft and Apple and Google collectively get to decide what you can install on your phones and computers. That's just not right. So, when you build a DApp and a DApp store and you build these liberating models, you start poking holes in that funnel. You start loosening that death grip and control. You start having new standards. So another big component is, how do we as a community come together and figure out how to create standards for smart contracts, standards and certification for things. So there are 4 tracks in this conference. During the utility track, we're going to talk a lot about that. What are the blueprints of applications? How do you get them up on a blockchain so that anybody can access them? How do you curate quality when no one's in control? There's no custodian there to say this is a safe app and that was built by Bob. There has to be some sort of wisdom of the crowds. It's a hugely difficult problem. Just solving it for identifying a person was called Web of Trust. We started doing that in 1991. Still not completely figured out. The good news is we're not in this alone. This is an industry-wide concern, not just our industry, but the entire class of developers. This movement, Cardano, blockchain, is about liberating every single thing it touches. It doesn't matter if it's a telecommunications company that lives in an ossified monopolistic world with tight regulations and well, that's just the way it works and it's worked that way for a century and deal with it, to an app developer who just wants to make a video game and is tired of being told they can't do microtransactions or something else because it violates an app store policy. They're united in the fact that systems beyond them are constraining and controlling their ability to innovate and create. The point of the tools and the technologies we build is, first, everyone is free. Everyone has equal rights, and also you are liberated to live your dreams and create the things you want to create. And hopefully we're making that point. If you add up MOE and Dish, that's 13 million people just there the next 12 to 24 months coming online. If you look at the community itself, it's in the millions. And we're just about ready for explosive growth. Basha will bring new technology like Mithril. Now, I fully admit that sometimes Daedalus needs to speed up a little bit. I fully admit that we need a better light client game. The problem is that we couldn't just copy a light client design from Bitcoin or Ethereum because all these protocols were completely new. So it required some time to figure out new cryptographic primitives and new protocols in order to enable a safe light experience. Well, we're here now with the Mithril age. And at this summit, you're going to see presentations about Mithril. And this is not some far-off concept that's coming 5-10 years from now. Mithril is coming next year. Light clients with full client security are coming next year. And the same technology that enables Mithril to have a great light client experience, which will bring these tens of millions of people into Cardano, is the same technology that will rapidly speed up the validation of full nodes. So that means everything gets better. Daedalus gets faster. Third-party wallets get faster. And it's all open source. It's all available not just for Yoroi and Flint and Daedalus and other wallets. It's available for you, the wallet builders, building your own projects, for Catalyst, for all kinds of things to think about. And this type of technology is so foundational. It can be reused in Hydra. It can be used for ZK rollups. It can be used for all kinds of things as that thread scales. Helps the scalability, helps the user experience. But that alone is not going to get it done. We recognize the time has come to really make an aggressive push forward to getting Cardano into the browser and getting Cardano onto your phone. So we have a skunkworks at I/O, and we've been working very hard to show you guys what's coming in the next few months, which is going to be a light wallet that I/O has created. We're bringing to all the consumers. And it's a beautiful wallet. We haven't named it yet. We're having some fights about it. But I assure you, you're really going to like where we're going. Get the wallet, the identity, the voting, the delegation, all these things into the browser and make it easy to install. One click. Make it magical. And by the way, put a dApp store into it. And we have a dApp store we're showing off. We have a dApp store we're showing off too, and that'll come rather quickly. And what's so magical about this dApp store is to put dApps in it, guess who you have to ask? Exactly! You're getting it! It's permissionless. Yet, if you have this idea of certified software, what that means is, while anybody can use it, what you can do is allow standards and community to show you what the good and safe apps are. It's a great balance. Open, yet somehow curated. Powerful, yet somehow light. That is what we're going for. That is what we're aiming for. And you know what? We're going to bring millions of users into this thanks to all these deals that we've been making and continue to make. And you're going to bring millions of users into it because you want your businesses to succeed. Just that simple. And every time we bring someone into this ecosystem, we are reinforcing and strengthening the core philosophy of the ecosystem. We're teaching people about the value of decentralization. We're teaching people that they have a voice and they can vote and they can decide where to take these things with Catalyst. We're showing people how to be their own bank. We're showing people how to be self-determined. We're also teaching people to interact with people they've never met before. That is so powerful if you think about it. Look at the diversity of faces. Look at the diversity of this movement. There are people right now watching this in Vietnam, right now watching this in Rwanda and Cape Town, right now watching this in Brazil, right now watching this in Canada, all across the world, over 100 countries. These are the people that are connected to you now. You can learn from them. You can learn from each other. Every single time we bring people into this infrastructure, little by little, it teaches them to listen more, to realize the world is much more nuanced, and it gives them their power back. So, a lot of announcements, a lot of things. 4 tracks: adoption, impact, utility, governance. Each and every one of them, dozens of presentations, hundreds of people from around the planet with incredible ideas, amazing scientific thought, amazing thought on the engineering side, revolutionary ways of building things, an incredible community, lots of impact that's happening. But what unifies all of it is you, and what unifies all of it is the fact that we have dreamed together and actually accomplished something together. It is the privilege of a lifetime to watch this ecosystem grow and make myself so damn irrelevant. There is nothing I can say anymore or do anymore that in any way, shape, or form is going to derail Cardano. The reality is Cardano has outgrown its founder, and that's exactly what was intended. I'm still here. I'll still be here for a long time. But I'm now sitting on the other side of the table, if you think about it. The big announcements that come in the following years, the big things that come in the following, there's going to be so many more of them from you. Kind of like when you looked at the iPhone. Apple says, look at this amazing device, and it's a platform for creativity. How do we think about the iPhone? Do we think about it as a phone? No, we think about it as a collection of experiences. And each and every one of those experiences were built not by Apple, but by the community. That's where the Instagrams came from. That's where the Facebooks come from. All these things, these mobile experiences that you use every single day, some people more than 8 hours a day when they look at usability scores, they come from other people who have never met Steve Jobs, who have never partnered with Apple, know very little about them, probably never even been to Cupertino. That is where Cardano is going now, thanks to the Goguen era. We have these amazing DEXs coming out. There's the Dejed project, which is a gift to the community. So now we have great foundations for stable coins, tons of partnerships to announce, tons of people to come. I fade away because an army of people stand in front of me. And eventually you'll do far more than anything I ever accomplished, IO ever accomplished. And that's the point of changing the world. Create an engine to allow people to change it for themselves. We did that in our own way. You named the lobster, not me. And I just want to thank you for all of that. You made me believe in humanity again. You made me believe in people again. You made me believe that there are no problems we cannot solve, no mountains we cannot scale, and you made me believe that the 21st century is going to be better than the 20th century. In closing, never be cynical. Never believe that you can't. All you have to do to change the world, and we demonstrated that here with this movement, is just decide that you want to. And thankfully, we now have the tools to do it for everyone, everywhere. Thank you so much.
Okie dokie. Well, I don't know what the next thing is here, so we're going to hang out. Let's... price dump incoming. It is a huge possibility that the price is about to dump. after that. But there are more things to come, is what I got from that. So we'll see. Um, we will, while we have a couple minutes here, let's go ahead and, oh gosh. I don't know what the next step is here. Let me turn this down. It's probably super loud, obnoxious. Actually, can I turn it down on my sound settings? Why is that so damn loud? 1 second. Also, I'm getting like a double echo, which is amazing. Okay. Let's do this. For now, I'm gonna turn it down because I don't know what's going on in the background. There is more because we have, let's see what's up next. So we have a keynote announcement at 11:45, so we have like 2 minutes until something else starts. So, oh, it's super loud on my end for some reason. Let's go ahead and we'll give everyone one more chance. Let me get the Twitter link one more time. Go ahead and hit that retweet button so then that way we are... Oh, here, can I pin this? Pin. This will appear at the top of your profile. Yeah, cool. Let's go ahead and anyone, last chance, and I'm going to go ahead and give you guys probably like 2 minutes. Go ahead and hit that Twitter link. Retweet it if you have Twitter. If you don't have Twitter, I'll give you a chance. Just make a quick Twitter. Go hit the retweet button. I'm going to keep the stream live. We're just kind of waiting for the next thing to happen. Go ahead and hit that Twitter button. Go ahead and you can probably hear my phone going off. Go ahead and retweet it. And then at 11:45, I will hit. I'll go ahead and give away 25 ADA. Whoever gets picked, I will try to find you on YouTube and reach out. Hopefully it. Actually, I'm sorry. I'll hit you up on Twitter DMs, and we'll figure out how to get the wallet. Please make sure you have a wallet available. I'm not going to sit here and wait 20 minutes for you to have a wallet available, so go ahead and go gather your wallet IDs. Don't post them in chat because I'm not picking you from chat. I'm picking from Twitter. So, as long as you've hit the retweet button, you're eligible for the giveaway. That's completely it. Nothing fancy about this. We're doing this old school. All right. See, that's so much louder. Someone must have told him about audio, but the audio being so quiet. My Chrome's at 7. That's how loud it is. My Chrome is
Hello,
at...
everybody. My name is Jerry Fracascatos.
Okay.
I'm Chief Commercial Officer at Input Output. I'm here today with Chris Ergen, Head of Innovation at Dish, Charles Hoskinson, CEO of Input Output, and Stephen Stokels, Head of Boost. I'll be moderating the panel today. We are here to reveal some exciting news. Chris, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, I'm excited to announce that Dish and Input Output are entering into a strategic collaboration to build blockchain services to make blockchain a core part of our network and consumer strategy.
Thank you, Chris. Let's kick off with our first question. Broadly speaking, where is the point of connection between the blockchain world and the telecom space? Charles, why don't you kick us off with that discussion?
Yeah, so the telco world is a really interesting world. It's about the movement of people, value, data across space and time. And it's really been the key driver of the internet, the key driver of many of the things that we take for granted. And it's gone through many iterations and revolutions, from the old telegraph days to the phone line days to actually starting to transmit actual computing data. And now we're in a situation where we have this desire to have a global network. We have this desire to be one global community and be very consumer focused, where a consumer can seamlessly move from one place to another place and have predictable cost and quality of service for their networking. So they can get their apps and their data where they want it, when they want it, how they want it. The problem is that when you actually look at the underlying business structure of the telecommunications space, it's very ossified, it's very 20th century in its thinking, it's very proprietary, it's very siloed and walled. And that's no good for anybody. It actually reduces the amount of profit businesses can make, and ultimately it hurts the consumer. The point of the blockchain space, just like we're doing for money and just like we're doing for property rights and voting and other things, is to say, can we apply those same techniques and concepts with a tier 1 carrier to revolutionize connectivity? And it's so exciting to be working with Dish because they're kind of the rebels of the telco space. Back from the beginning in the 80s, from their business model, they've gone through many iterations and innovations, and every step of the way, they were always leading and transforming the entire industry that they were in. And now when we look at telco, we think that there's a lot of intersections between the use of identity, the movement of data, capacity exchange, and other things that can be done and explored. And it can be done at a scale of millions to tens of millions of users, and eventually at a global scale. So this is a super exciting relationship and partnership, and it's one that we can't wait to see how it goes. It's very challenging from a protocol viewpoint, an engineering viewpoint. We have to do a lot of science, a lot of innovation, a lot of engineering to be able to make blockchain protocols fit for purpose for the carrier space. And it's also really exciting from a customer experience because telcos have scale in the tens of millions. So these types of deals don't just bring something to a back end at a server somewhere that nobody sees. If you get them right, you can fundamentally transform the entire model and innovate the telco to a point where it's front and center in a person's digital life, their economic life, their consumption life, their media life, and ultimately make it a better, fairer, more transparent and cost-effective experience for everybody.
Thank you, Charles. Stephen, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I'll hammer home the point that Charles just made about sort of the consumer. And if you look at telcos, Boost, already millions of customers, eventually tens of millions of customers, there's scale there. And the ability to actually take blockchain-based technologies and actually innovate, provide new services, whether it be loyalty programs, whether it be actually an expanded ecosystem, and really have a telco and an opportunity to kind of take back some of the value that they've given away to app stores, that they've given away to sort of software providers, and really bring that back to the network piece as well, is a huge opportunity from network all the way to consumer. So we're pretty excited about the types of things we're going to be rolling out very shortly on the consumer side, all the way down to the network side.
Chris, you want to bring it home?
Well, sure. I think I look at it a little bit more fundamentally, which is that blockchains are useless without connectivity. And so having that as a fundamental part of what we are building to bring the network connectivity that we're putting into the market, as well as the blockchain-based protocols that the Cardano family brings to us, these are going to be two individually powerful technologies that together will be something I think a lot more exponentially bigger.
Yeah, from my standpoint, from a commercial perspective, I find Metcalfe's law comes into play here. So we've got a big network, which is the telecom network. We've got the blockchain network, and as we know, the value of a network is the square of the users of the connections. So it just makes sense that networks work together. That's kind of from my perspective, and we see it in the market that we see this push towards networks working together. Interoperability is a big thing in our industry, and I think it's only going to grow from here.
Yeah, and one of the core goals of blockchain is about empowering the edges. And it's kind of funny to think of a Fortune 250 company as being on the edges, but in many cases, the way the legacy economy is working, that happens. Whether you're Dish or a small business, in some cases you're at the mercy of the legacy banking system. You're at the mercy of a lot of older regulations and older legacy business models or monopolies or other things that you just have to accept as a fact of life. And this becomes an enormous cost center and ultimately deteriorates the quality of the product and reduces the overall profitability of the enterprise. So the same types of things we're trying to do to transform the life of someone in Senegal or Ethiopia or Tanzania, Zanzibar, at the very individual level, the farmer, the small business owner, the university graduate, we actually try to do to transform the institution, the business. And we're really excited about how can blockchain technology be used for a client like Dish to actually allow them to take back some of their autonomy and power about the relationship with their customer, how payments work, how identity works, and ultimately how they want to do business and compete in the 21st century. Because they're a business, they have the right to do that, and it shouldn't be taken for them because of artifacts of legacy systems or other problems. And ultimately we feel that if this is successful, successful, it'll become the default business model for the telecommunications space, which will continue that reputation and legacy Dish has had of always being one of the first movers and the disruptors in this space. So we're really excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I think there was one point that surprised me when we started working with Dish and Boost. Input-output is really focusing on the emerging world because people are underserviced there. But when we started working with Dish and Boost, we realized that there's a large population within the US that's also underserviced, and blockchain can actually fill that gap in the first world as well as the developing world. That was another discovery that I made working with Dish. So how did the collaboration between the Dish family come about, and what is the ultimate aim of the partnership? I know this started between Charles and Chris through a mutual connection. Why don't you kick us off on this topic?
Well, we were one of the first public companies in the world to start accepting cryptocurrency as payments. So in 2014, I think it was, is when we sort of entered the fringes of the blockchain space. And I've been investigating how we can leverage this technology to help improve our business and help the experience for our customers for some time. And thanks to a mutual friend who introduced Charles and I, we met earlier this year. And I think I was immediately impressed with his way of thinking and the way he sees blockchain interacting in the world. And I thought that it was just a great opportunity for us to engage with somebody that was competent and had some really big vision for what we could do together. And so it started to really snowball from there. And so here we are 9 months later.
Yeah, it's been an amazing relationship. Usually when you think about Fortune 500, Fortune 250, Fortune 100, as you get these larger and larger corporations, there's typically all this enormous bureaucracy that exists in these companies. You kind of start at the front door and you slowly but surely work your way through. To be able to cut all that bureaucracy out and talk to the inner circle of the company about, well, where do you want to go in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Where do you think your industry is going to go? And then say, okay, well, what do we have as a company in our portfolio that we can give to you as a company to use to get you where you need to go? Was just an incredible conversation. I think we probably have had 2-3 calls every week for 9 months. And there's been enormous amounts of work that's gone into every a piece of the relationship. But what we've been constantly impressed with is the level of competence, skill, and passion that the Dish and the Boost team has demonstrated throughout all of this. We've never really encountered bureaucracy. And if it is, Chris has done a phenomenal job of hiding it from us. I'm sure he's had to do that. And that's been a great honor. And the other thing is that we had the freedom to innovate in this deal. So we've invented entirely new things like proof of bandwidth, and we've thought about identity very differently as a consequence. And it's forced us as a company to actually really put the consumer front and center. We're so obsessed with writing scientific papers and all this formal methods code and these things. Sometimes you can forget that there's actual human beings at the other side of it. And what I love about working with Chris and Steve is that they always remind us of that. Like, what's the product? What's the vision? What's the consumer experience? How is this going to benefit the consumer, and so forth? And also, how do we get this to market quickly? Not 5 years, not 10 years, but how can we iterate and get it in now, and where can that happen? So that's been very refreshing that a much larger company than us has been moving faster than us in certain respects and kind of kicking us to make sure that we get things done. On the other hand, what we bring to the table in the relationship has always been that rigor. And when we look at the track record of our industry, it has a track record of being very fast moving, tremendously innovative, and not caring so much about the hacks, the mistakes, or these other things. And that might work when you're a small business in Silicon Valley trying to find a business model. That can't work when you're a business with tens of millions of relationships, a 40-year history, and trust and regulation. So you need to know it works right the first time. And that's one of our expertise and specialty as a company, and something that's unique to our organization that we bring to the table is this idea of the use of formal methods and peer review, and being able to apply that to get a much higher level of assurance that the software is right and it's secure. On average, when compared to where the industry's at, I think ultimately that collaboration is going to be both innovative and also safe and suitable for the customers and regulators in this industry. And that's what makes it one of the most unique collaborations. We're moving at Silicon Valley startup speeds. We're real time having 2-3 calls a week. We're almost as if we're a small company in that respect, but yet the products, the services, the infrastructure is being built in a very safe way. And I don't think anyone's ever done a collaboration like this before of this nature. And it's been real fun, real hard, but real fun.
Stephen?
Yeah, and it's not just the technology that's been impressive about Charles and team, yourself included. It's the focus on the consumer. We kind of came in and took over Boost a year ago. It was really looking at the telecom space from a different perspective. Right now, if you look at the consumer wireless customer, they're bombarded with, I've got the fastest network and I'm $5 cheaper. And that's the messaging. Charles and team kind of share the same sort of view as us. We kind of look at it at how can we really deliver a deeper value to the consumer? How can we connect the consumer across a broader set of services in a more lubricated way? How can we bring new digital services to the consumer? How can we actually give an underserved, underbanked population access to banking services, cryptocurrency? You know, Bitcoin is the #2 most searched term on Google right now, yet if you look at the actual data, there's still under 15% that actually have ever even owned a Bitcoin, let alone the rest of the crypto infrastructure. So when you look at it from a consumer perspective, that's what makes, I think, IOG, the team, Charles, Jerry, very, very sort of unique in that they not only understand the technology and how to scale and how to do it in a way that's very sort of startup-centric and rapid, but also the consumer and how they have a very strong consumer focus, as do we, and a consumer focus from really providing value, real, true, intrinsic value to the consumer. And at the end of the day, if you do that, you're going to win from a consumer business like Boost. And so that shared sort of ideology and passion is what I'm most excited about.
I also feel that there's almost a natural connection in the sense that the way people mostly interact with the blockchain space is through their mobile phone. And also at the base layer, the infrastructure is the mobile telco infrastructure. So I almost feel that the two industries are gravitating towards each other. And we've seen this in Africa with World Mobilecom already. And with Dish, this is expanding like by a factor. So I see more and more of this happening in the industry.
And it's going to be fun to explore emerging markets. You know, once you get the model here, there's always ways to syndicate and franchise the business model. And that's the other cool part of this relationship is what we've built is this nice corpus where experiments can rapidly be done every 3 to 6 months. New business verticals can be pursued, new markets can be pursued. And it basically Dish and Boost are in the driver's seat in that respect. And they get to decide, hey, well, what do we want to do this quarter? What do we want to play with this quarter? And every time you do it, the cost of experimentation goes down and you preserve all the ground that you've gained. And you also, in many cases, will gain customers from other less adventurous and less innovative telcos. So overall, the entire subscription base grows. So that's the other part of the deal that always gets me excited is that if it was just about making something 5% better or 10% better or shaving off 10% of a cost, it's a very boring job. What we're talking about here is the capacity to reinvent what it means to be a telco company in a 10-year period or a 15-year period. And this collaboration is perfectly well suited to ensure that those tools are accessible at the right place, the right time, at the right cost, and the right scale for everybody.
Let's talk about identity, or decentralized identity to be more precise. So this is a crucial foundational component for our emerging partnership. Our product's called Atala Prism. How does Atala Prism help your customers at Dish and at Boost? Steve, why don't we start with you on this one?
Absolutely. So it's really on two major facets. Obviously, there's or maybe not that obvious, but there's a huge sort of data protection and privacy advantage to having a sort of decentralized identity, security, anti-fraud, et cetera. So from a technical perspective alone, there's huge value. But above and beyond that, when we talk about sort of deeper consumer value, it provides the ability to really ramp and scale a third-party ecosystem where consumers can participate in new services seamlessly without having to go through a lot of rigor. And that allows consumers, like I said from the get-go, who are potentially cut off from certain services, whether it be banking, whether it be sort of anything, gambling, commerce, you name it. It allows for a very sort of lubricated, transparent kind of entry into new offerings, as well as just making the third-party ecosystem more robust and more sort of scalable. So we're excited about that from multiple facets, and I think we'll start to prove out the real power of the decentralized ID very quickly here.
All right, Charles?
Yeah, you know, it's identity is such a fundamentally human thing, and it's amazing that we haven't, as a collective global society, figured out this problem yet. You know, we have passports, we have driver's licenses, we have paper identity, we have some notions of digital identity, but right now, digital identity is a very fragmented affair. Your digital identity you use to register to vote is distinctly different than how you manage your medical records, from how you manage your personally identifiable information with regulated financial institutions. And even the people you would think would get it right about safety, security, privacy, have gotten it horrifically wrong. I think one of the biggest moments in US history was the OPM hack, the Office of Personnel Management. There you have a database that contains the names and information of all the people who applied for and got security clearances. So our spies, our generals, our military, deeply personal information about them, their relationships, other things, held by a very secret government agency. It gets hacked and 22 million files have been lost since the 1970s. If that kind of agency has difficulty keeping data secure, it's unrealistic to assume that Fortune 500 small businesses, individuals are going to be able to do that in the old paradigm. So you need to change the paradigm a little bit and push power to the edges and put the consumer front and center with their digital life, and their access control, their personally identifiable information. And to Stephen's point, the ability to create liquidity where you can easily move between these different fragmented systems is incredibly important, because that liquidity ultimately is the difference between you having $10 of revenue and $1 million of revenue. You know, it's the difference between a low value customer that's worth 50 cents lifetime value and $2,000 lifetime value. The more that they do in your ecosystem, the more they can do in the ecosystem, the easier it is for them to connect to services, the easier it is for third parties to come in and connect their services to your services. That is really where we need to be at in 2021 and beyond for businesses to be competitive. And when you talk about identity and data, it seems to be stuck in a very 1980s, 1990s mainframe paper world. And very rapidly, the next 3 to 5 years, that's going to fundamentally change. You see it with Facebook and the metaverse. You see it with some of the products Google is building. You see it with some of the products that Microsoft is building. And the telco space can't be left behind because, as Chris has said, they're really layer zero.
Eager Bev is going to be the first winner of 25 Cardano.
All
I'll
of
reach
this
out to
stuff
you right
runs. And if they don't do it, it's going to be a lot harder to do it layer 1 and layer 2 and higher up layers. If they do it at the backbone layer, then that becomes the skeleton key that we can use to connect all of these services, and we'll get better safety, better security, better privacy, and ultimately more velocity of commercial transactions. And that's where we want to be at.
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think Charles said it pretty well there, but you know, in the United States, our Social Security cards are an actual piece of paper, and to think that your identity and your ability to prove your identity can be ruined by spilling a cup of coffee onto a document is very old world. So we're very excited to be moving into the future with identity and how we can utilize that to enable a host of services, and it won't be able to be ruined by an accident.
And the other thing is that you think about a modern company, we think about identity in terms of people, but there's also sensors, there's IoT devices, there's drones. When we looked at 2025, 2030, and beyond, the very notion of what is an autonomous agent, an object, what is something that needs an identifier is fundamentally changing. And being a telecommunication company, there's probably more non-human things that you guys have to identify in your stack than human things in the stack. So what's so beautiful about this collaboration is what we're trying to figure out is bedrock. So we're trying to figure out what is a universal identifier that's built with standards, like through the W3C and so forth, that's open and not vendor specific, that can be integrated into this type of infrastructure. So then not only can you build on that and get a lot of great functionality about that, but then you have maximum business flexibility in the places you want to go, the people you want to work with, the systems you want to interoperate with. For example, this Cardano collaboration is great for Cardano, but at the end of the day, these credentials and assets can very easily also be embedded in Ethereum and Bitcoin and other ecosystems. And so that puts Dish and Boost in the driver's seat about what is best for the business, what is best for the customer, what is best for the consumer. And there are going to be many cases where it turns out that there are other experiences that are best. There was another large company that actually had to go through this renaissance, and it turned out to be one of the greatest business transformation stories of all time. It was the transformation of Microsoft. They used to have this very closed mindset of Windows first and forever. We can never work with Android and Apple. We can't work with competitors. We have to build everything internally. And then when they opened it up, they said sometimes it's okay to release an app on an Apple product before Windows. Sometimes it's okay just to be mobile first and not actually have a Windows mobile. And now they're, I think, almost a $2 trillion company. Far more profitable, far more resilient, far more loved. And that's exactly the kind of transformation we expect to see in the telecommunications space. The first people to embrace open standards, the first people to embrace maximal flexibility in the business model, agility, and to Stephen's point, the ability to create velocity in the commercial transactions, that is the stuff that creates the 10x growth and the 100x growth. And that's the stuff that transforms the telco from just a layer zero boring infrastructure company into a company that becomes a kingmaker for entire verticals in the industry and has a more balanced relationship with their customer base, which will be ever growing.
Let me just hammer one point home, because I think what Charles is talking about is extremely important, and bringing it back to the consumer. But other companies, obviously us taking the lead is good for us, but it's also good for a broad ecosystem of everybody who kind of follows. Because if you think about it, if you want access to tens of millions of customers and you're a financial services firm or you're an insurance company, sharing that same underlying digital infrastructure for digital identification allows you to kind of get access in a very seamless way without having to do a business development relationship and a formal 6-month legal documents and a partnership to be able to kind of bring everybody together. And so again, it's not just good for us at Boost and Dish, but it's going to be good for the entire ecosystem and other third parties that want to participate in it.
I 100% agree. I mean, I take this one very personally. I think there's a new feature in iOS where it kind of lists all the accounts that have been hacked or have been on some kind of leak. And I looked at the list and it's almost every single one of my accounts. And we've almost accepted this as normal. And if I know personally, if a provider like Boost offers a secure ID where I can be assured that won't happen, I would switch carriers. Of course, like you said, they all provide similar performances. The price points are almost equivalent. If I could get this, I would definitely switch carriers. And I think millions of other people would do the same thing. And I think there's an education to be done, because it almost feels like we've given up this right. We didn't even know that we gave it up. And now there's a new opportunity to get it back. I think that's extremely powerful.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of SIM boosting just within the cryptocurrency industry. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been stolen just by people illegally porting cell phone numbers and getting access to people's Coinbase account and other places. And that's just such a fundamental thing of, how do we know our relationship with our customer? How do we make sure that that customer is actually who they say they are? That should be easy to solve in 2021. But because legacy infrastructure makes it hard, that's a problem. And it's a problem at scale across the entire industry. And to your point, there seems to be a great degree of tone deafness to that, which is because, they're ossified monopolies. And how you win is you disrupt that. And you just kind of bring something revolutionary new. And if you get it right, everybody else follows. And then it makes the entire industry better for everyone.
Look, the core principle here is it's the customer really owning their own identity here. And so at the very fundamental basic here, you got a customer who owns his own identity versus a company owning the customer's identity. So I think just even from that perspective, it's a completely different way of sort of approaching identity than sort of the probably 150 different companies right now own my identity. And this is taking it, and it gives me as a consumer the chance to take that back and own it myself. That's right.
Another big part of our partnership is tokenized loyalty points. This is more for Boost. This is something that will help Boost customers. Can you give us some inputs about how that's going to help the customer, generally speaking?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at loyalty programs, probably the airline industry is your biggest example of success. And I think you guys have kind of shared some data points. American Airlines, is their loyalty programs worth $30 billion of consumer value, right, or of corporate value. But more broadly, you look at the loyalty programs, there's a ton of consumer value that's come out of these. Again, the airlines, third-party ecosystem, I can use those points for flights, obviously, but I can use them for hotels, I can use them for car rentals, I can use them outside of the travel space, I can use them to redeem cash. So they've built out very robust third-party ecosystems. Now, Boost is going to be the first telco to really embrace not only a loyalty program, but a blockchain-based loyalty program. And the reason that the blockchain piece is important here is because we're going to be able to catch up to what the airlines have built over decades in a matter of months, maybe a year, right? We'll have an ecosystem because blockchain gives us the ability to have third parties engage in the ecosystem very quickly, as we've talked about already, allows transferability. So yes, obviously a Boost customer will earn loyalty points by doing various actions, paying their bills, signing up, inviting a friend, et cetera, but the ability to redeem those points for not just money off your bill or a new phone, but into cash, into Bitcoin, into Cardano, into a hotel, into a flight, into all kinds of third-party services, into financial services. That ability, enabled by blockchain, will sort of accelerate a loyalty program decades from what it might take if we were just trying to do things and recreate the airline model. So pretty excited about not just the loyalty program we're doing it, but how we're doing it in collaboration with you guys here.
Yeah, and what's so cool about this type of a program is it's very dynamic. A lot of loyalty programs are static. You're told what you get, and then you operate within the rules of that system, and that's that. The power of blockchain is openness and basically programmability. So you're in a situation where third parties can come in and find new ways and concepts to be able to integrate and use these types of things where they have identity plus loyalty plus wallet infrastructure and other such things, and it all just works on a phone and it's all seamless. So it could end up being the number one consumer of this system 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now is a company we've never met, we know nothing about, and didn't ask permission. They just built in an open store or something like that. That was kind of the magic of Google Play, the magic of the iOS store, was that all these incredible developers, entrepreneurs, and other businesses came, and they had a platform to build on, and then suddenly you could use your flash on your phone as a flashlight. You know, it's just incredible to see the level of innovation that came. And now we're doing that with incentives engineering. We're doing that with loyalty points, and a whole ecosystem can develop. And that ecosystem, as Stephen said, is interoperable with real financial rails. So it's easy to move between different instruments of value and represent different instruments of value, whether that be bandwidth or priority service or cash or whatever it might be. The other thing is that it creates really interesting user-to-user interactions. We do a lot of business in Africa, and one of the great success stories of the 2000s of Africa was the emergence of M-Pesa, where cell phone minutes became currency, which was a really remarkable concept. And so this idea that users now have instruments they can work with for remittances or for whatever they happen to have in their financial life is a really cool concept. And it's going to be really fun to see what the customers come up with. And then, as he said, very rapidly, you could add functionality and features on a quarterly basis to embrace that change so that you can always stay on the bleeding edge of the business model.
Yeah, let me add real quick to that point. I mean, we expect an ecosystem that's far more expansive than the airline industry within a matter of years, or even quicker perhaps. And again, it's enabled there. And look, at the end of the day, if you think about it, you want access to the Boost customer base and the tens of millions of subscribers, you can do that on your own. You can have access and you can be remunerated by these loyalty points for your access. And so it's pretty exciting from that perspective. And from a Boost customer perspective, look, stay with Boost long enough, we might buy your next house, buy your next car. I mean, it opens up all kinds of value to the consumer as they accumulate these loyalty points that actually have value well beyond the Boost ecosystem as it exists today.
The thing that excites me the most about it is the innovation that we don't know is going to happen. It's like crowdsourcing innovation. You're creating a platform and people with the loyalty points or maybe some other token will power a host of applications that we can't even imagine today. And I think, Chris, from your perspective, I think being able to crowdsource your innovation from your customers, that will actually be more loyal customers, so you get the engagement, the retention, the acquisition, but then you opened up innovation to the world based on this type of program. So I'd love to hear more of your thoughts about that.
Makes my job a lot easier, for one thing. But clearly, networks are much more powerful the bigger they are. And so to be able to go directly to the community that is our customer, the people that we're trying to innovate on behalf of and get their input is incredibly powerful. And I'm hoping that this turns into something that's much, much bigger than just us.
Charles, why don't you bring this home for all of us?
Well, you know, it's a great beginning, and what's really cool is there's collectively a lot of brain power and a lot of goodwill and a lot of truly amazing ideas that are on the table. But for this collaboration to be successful, we got to execute, we got to move forward, and we always have to keep our eye on the prize about the experiences that are needed and the level of participation that's needed. So what's so cool about it is that just in 9 months, we've gone from, hi, nice to meet you, Chris, to this massive fundamental transformation of a Fortune 250 company. And I'm very optimistic that in the coming months to years, we're going to see that collaboration be shared with the millions of Boost customers and eventually the broader ecosystem, the entire cryptocurrency and blockchain space and the entire telecommunications space. This is the kind of deal that I can imagine in a decade horizon involves hundreds of millions, if not billions of people. I'm deeply passionate about it because to do the things we'd like to do as a company, we have to bank the unbanked and connect the unconnected. And that's a tremendous challenge. And to work with a tier one telecommunications company, it not only teaches us how to make our products more competitive and make Cardano a better ecosystem, but it also ultimately teaches us how to bring this type of connectivity and these ideas to continents like Africa, to places like Cuba, to places like South America, to places like Southeast Asia, where there are literally billions of people who are underbanked or unbanked and really need a leg up. So this is a very passionate project for me. And it's something that I'm probably going to spend a huge chunk of my time, and I know Chris has spent probably the majority of his time this year on it. It's been exhausting, but we're always invigorated and recharged by the fact that we actually have a chance to make a real difference in people's lives. And we have a chance to make a very big difference in the industry. And to work with a partner like Dish that's done this for 40 years, again and again and again, literally every time they came in, they were the rebel, the underdog, the disruptor that always found a way to look at and do things differently, whether it be satellite equipment out of the back of a truck to basically the things they've done with HughesNet and EchoStar and these other great product lines is really an honor. And it's the privilege of my career to learn from you guys and work with you guys.
And likewise for us, I mean, the community that you guys have built is just getting started. I want to congratulate the Cardano community for getting the Alonzo upgrade launched and deployed just a few days ago. And that's going to enable the community to really take root. And we're very excited to be a part of that. So thank you.
It's going to be fun.
I'm excited for
guys.
this next one
It's
right
also
here.
been a personal pleasure of mine
Building
to
a new
work
partnership
with you guys.
ecosystem.
It's part of it is always how much value can you bring, but you reach a point in your career where it's just, I want to work with people I like working with, and it's been a personal pleasure of mine to work with you guys. Thank you.
So yeah, let's go ahead and I'll do one more giveaway right now. I will eventually actually have to, let's see, where'd that go? This right here. All right, let's go ahead and make sure we hit the like button on the YouTube. You don't actually, your entry is not based on the like button, but hit the like button so that way people know about this one. We can also get it above like the fake streams that are probably just showing Charles rambling and then putting $100 Cardano. So go ahead and hit the like button on the YouTube. Make sure you are pushing that Twitter link. I will post the Twitter link again for you guys who are new to the stream, guys and gals. Go ahead and hit that retweet button. You don't have to say anything fancy, just hi, I stopped in the stream. Cool, Cardano, Moon, whatever you want to put. We are getting ready to go into this next announcement, which is building a new partnership ecosystem, which should start here in about a minute. I'm going to go ahead and hit the next. I can show Voltaire track, yeah. Where is that at? This one right here. Yeah, we'll switch to governance. We'll do that now, actually, while we have a chance. Governance. And we'll come over here. Oh, I just collected the friendlies. Was it sprites? Or yeah, I think it was sprites. Is that what that was? This? Yay! I think another one is about to go live. So we're going to go ahead and do the other drawing here. Give me a second. I want to make sure I don't accidentally miss something. So we'll keep that volume up.
Throughout the Cardano Summit, we've announced a strategic collaboration.
Captions are working.
Labs. Nikki Arias-Singer is their head of blockchain partnerships.
We got full screen again.
All right. Now, Nikki, many people will have heard.
I'm going to do a quick giveaway. We're going to do a quick pick while they are talking, okay? Quick drawing.
Hi, Tim.
This is for 25 Cardano.
Absolutely. So Chainlink is actually the largest decentralized Oracle network in the world. So we essentially do two things. One is we're very focused on bringing off-chain data securely on-chain, so onto any blockchain. And the second thing that we're really focused on is enabling interoperability between different blockchains as well. So we offer a whole range of smart contract services. Just to give you some examples, we're very well known for providing price feeds. So these are crypto price feeds, so the price of BTC USD as a simple example. And we do that via a decentralized method involving a whole range of data providers, a very vast node operator network, and allows that secure price to go through to users. And we actually power about 70% of the entire DeFi ecosystems. So we started off with crypto price feeds, and in fact, there's a whole range of other smart contract services we provide now as well. So verifiable
Junis
randomness
Monkey is
so
the second winner of 25 Cardano,
which is very useful in areas like gaming and NFTs. And another product we've recently launched called Keepers. So this provides automation and smart contract maintenance services, very popular in the DeFi space as well. So for us, it's really about providing those smart contract services to users so they can then build highly user-centric and powerful applications on top of platforms like Cardano.
So tell us a little bit more about your vision and mission as a company.
So for us, we provide decentralized Oracle networks, but starting off with things like crypto price feeds and DeFi is really just the beginning. And fundamentally for us, our vision is really wanting to make a wider impact on society with what we call the truth in a cryptographic provided way. And this can really be provided via advanced smart contracts. And we really want to extend out what blockchains and smart contracts can do across a whole range of industries and across a whole range of platforms. And our broader vision, which we hope to achieve, I assume many years from now, is really to kind of focus on building an open source standard for how this type of cryptographic truth can enable blockchains and smart contracts to actually make useful applications for the world. So to bring it to life a little bit, in terms of the areas that I mentioned earlier, when I mentioned that ability to bring off-chain data securely onto any blockchain, this can happen via any type of data feed. Crypto price feeds is just the beginning. It can enable connections with payment systems and so on and so forth. But one example that might be quite useful is in the area of parametric insurance. So we work with a number of interesting fintech startups that are trying to enable parametric insurance in sub-Saharan Africa. And one of the key data inputs that's required for those parametric insurance contracts is highly secure, verifiable, and robust weather data for those to activate those particular parametric insurance contracts. So that's just one example, but there's a whole range of other really interesting data that we hope to bring to platforms like Cardano, so your users can build really interesting applications on top of that data. The second key area as well is enabling cross-chain interoperability. And this is really a framework for enabling bridges between different chains. And so this is something that we hope to collaborate with the Cardano ecosystem as well. And really what it's about is enabling a multi-chain world.
So we're announcing our strategic collaboration, obviously, at the summit this weekend. Perhaps you can just tell us a little bit more about why you want to get involved with Cardano's ecosystem.
We have a tremendous amount of respect for the Cardano ecosystem. I think there's a tremendous amount of respect, obviously, for the technical team behind Cardano, IOG, and so on, but also for the collaborative nature of the community as well. So I think there's a tremendous amount of respect between the Chainlink and Cardano ecosystems. Secondly, obviously, a lot of this comes down to timing. Cardano obviously has had a extended period where we've had different drops of upgrades over time. And I think obviously the most recent is Alonzo, really about enabling smart contracts. So for us, this is really about the right time to engage with the Cardano ecosystem and really a coming together of what is a very highly technically able and powerful platform like Cardano, and also bringing together Chainlink, which is really built to enable smart contracts via that off-chain data in particular.
And what do you hope you expect the community to see as a result of this collaboration?
Well, I think it's important to understand as we embark on this collaboration as well that the idea of integrating Cardano and Chainlink is a non-trivial matter. So, I always like to say that when we interact and when we complete an integration with a particular chain, it's a very high hurdle to meet. We have very high security, reliability, and scalability standards for every integration that we do. And so just as a mental model for folks in the Cardano ecosystem to imagine what we're trying to build here in terms of an integration is something that will enable, for example, hundreds of billions of dollars of TVL to be secured on the Cardano ecosystem, particularly in the DeFi space. So I think that's firstly an important point to kind of note. I think the second point that's really quite important as well in terms of our collaboration is that Cardano has a whole range of unique features that have been built, obviously for very specific reasons, but that obviously are key aspects that we need to kind of work through at a technical level. But we feel really confident that with a strong collaboration between the IOG technical team as well as the Chainlink Labs technical team, that we're actually very well placed to surmount some of those challenges and some of those hurdles and actually build a very, very robust and highly reliable and highly scalable integration between Cardano and Chainlink. And so what users can expect when this is ready, and we'll obviously provide updates as things progress, but really a two-stage process. The first is a testnet that will be made open to users to particularly deploy in a safe testnet environment some of those crypto price feeds, so the users can start to figure out how those add value to the dApps that they're building. And secondly, once mainnet integration launched, what is very likely that users will get access to is a whole range of crypto price feeds, then followed by a whole range of additional other services like more esoteric data feeds, whether it's weather data, whether it's sports data or whatever it may be that's in demand in the Cardano ecosystem. And then some of those other services that I mentioned, verifiable randomness, keepers, and perhaps other services that are demanded by users in the Cardano ecosystem. But those will continue to be added to and as part of the collaboration.
Nicky, exciting times ahead. Thanks very much for joining us at the Cardano Summit.
Thank you, Jim.
Awesome. That didn't really get a ton of information there, but information nonetheless. And let's go check the schedule here. Where are we at next? We're gonna stay in the Voltaire. We're gonna stay in governance. Just a heads up. Anyone in the United States, if you don't have a really good exchange on your phone, or if you want to just get free crypto, I'm gonna put. Oh, is it not working? Oh, it's just a. Give me a second. Okay. Why won't it let me send that? Well, we're gonna hang out here for a second, but let's turn on the background music while we hang out until they bring up the Voltaire. We have 2 more winners coming up. 2 more winners for $25 ADA each. Almost at $25. We don't know. Is there a way to search? I don't think there's a way to search. Oh wait, here it is. Ergo shows 5 p.m. on day 1, so we have a little while for Ergo. Let's see. Oh, I'm still. You can only send 200. It's 200 texts. Hold on. That is my Voyager link. I use Voyager to buy and sell crypto, mainly to HODL. So if anyone is in the United States, this is United States only. Feel free to go and sign up. You trade $100, you get $25 free Bitcoin. Think about that. $25 is what, 10 ADA right now, basically. So make sure if you want some free money and you're in the United States, and in the United States. Is Voyager safe? I've had no issues with Voyager. I've moved money all around, so I've had no issues. I know some users have had issues. A lot of the issues stem from how you send the money out of Voyager. You got to pay very close attention.
Hi everybody, my name is Dor Garbash. I'm the head of product for Voltaire.
This is Voltaire,
and today
so we're going to hang out
we're going
and
to talk
listen
about
to Voltaire, okay?
the path to decentralized governance. So, what is the question that Voltaire is asking? How can the Cardano community govern Cardano in a fair and impactful way? And for this, the decentralized governance body has 2 main functionalities. One, the ability to modify the protocol. The second one is allocating treasury funds, currently at around $1.5 billion worth of ADA. And, as we tackle these really hard problems, it's good to go back to the source, right? To the man, Voltaire himself, with his quote, "Doubt is an uncomfortable condition, but certainty is a ridiculous one." And while there might be a lot of people who can feel very, very certain, all right, of which way we should govern, how things should be done, in what way or the other, we all know, or at least any reasonable person knows, that this question of governance has been explored for thousands of years in human civilization, and we haven't quite got to a conclusive answer yet. But what we do is intending to find out what can work best for Cardano. So what are the North Poles? What is driving this whole Voltaire towards accomplishing its goals? So it's all about legitimacy. Okay, if you see in this center of the circle, it's about legitimizing decentralized governance. And in order for something to become legitimate, we're talking about three main principles. Okay, the first one is ROI, and in our case, we like to call ROI return on intention, right? So, are we fulfilling the intention of the community? So are we addressing challenges effectively? Okay, are we making impactful decisions? The second one is user experience. So how does it feel to be part of Cardano governance? How understandable it is? How accessible it is? How engaging it is? So these things determine, how many people participate in governance, what kind of talent are we attracting to our ecosystem? And the third one is, I call it D, it's short for decentralization, which is the question, is control distributed among many? All right, so we believe that driving these three things, the higher we drive these things, the more legitimate is our system, the more successful it is. So when you think about ROI, you think about having the right challenges, the right problems, the right proposals, which means like the right solutions to these problems that we invoked, having a functional, here I say expert layer, it's expert layer and a voter layer, so that generates the right decisions, and in the end, execution. So having the right kind of execution, the right people and the right methods for them to coordinate to excel. And this all leads, not just to Treasury ROI, but also to the Cardano ROI. So when we talk about challenges and the certain steps we're taking in order to maximize it. So first of all, we just launched in Fund 6 challenge teams, getting compensated at 2,500 per team. We just transferred control over challenges to the community. So the community defines and votes which challenge are we trying to resolve through the Treasury. We introduced reporting of proposals, like every 2 weeks. We get back what kind of ROI did they produce, transparent and viewable by the community. And of course, we have the Catalyst Circle itself, a group of representatives that over the past 2 months have already identified 16 problems within Catalyst. Then when we talk about the right solutions, okay, we're talking about $100 million in ADA that would incentivize proposals in 2022. We're talking about workshops like Catalyst School, or the mini proposal workshop started by TiVo, or the recurring town halls and the after town halls and the swarm sessions that help proposers hone and improve their proposal to be more effective, about introducing methods for forming teams, both in a D-Scale and a project called Pace. You can see a screenshot where people can share their skills and services. We're talking about feedback. Okay, more than almost 15,000 comments have been submitted in a D-Scale to give proposers constructive feedback, how to improve their proposal. And also we're talking about a referral program. So $80,000 this round is given in order to incentivize people to bring talented proposers into the system. So anybody who refers new proposers is eligible for this incentive. Then we're talking about the right decisions. So in 2022, again, if we continue to grow at current rate, there will be $6 million worth of ADA and incentives. We're providing, we as in the entire community ecosystem is providing training and support groups and documentation, as well as tooling to support these layers of experts and community advisors. Such a tool is like Cardano AIM, that basically has enabled community advisors to browse and explore proposals and make good assessments in a kind of like an easy and streamlined way. Then we're also talking about acceleration. Okay, and here I wanted you to invite you to watch another talk in this Voltaire stream by Chris Baird, talking about sparking a movement with Catalyst pioneers. We will make a couple of announcements about acceleration programs we're launching. Then we have UX. So in one hand, we're talking about reducing the perceived cost of participation in governance. This is why we started, now you can only need to register once to participate basically in all governance rounds. Compare that to having to spend like tens, maybe even hundreds of dollars per a single vote in other blockchains such as Ethereum. We're talking about delegation. Soon, everybody would able to, people who are like maybe at least less engaged with governance can actually just delegate their vote and choose a trusted representative to vote on their behalf. And we're currently working on voting within the wallet, within Daedalus, and providing an API for any other wallet to integrate these functionalities within them. We're also talking about raising the benefit of participating in governance. So again, if during 2022, if we continue to grow at the current pace that we're growing, per 1,000 ADA, so if you're holding 1,000 ADA and you will participate in all our voting rounds, you will get around $4 worth of ADA in rewards. And this is so that means like if it's like 10,000 ADA, it's $40. If it's 100,000, 400 ADA, etc. It's also clear that those who participate make the network stronger, improve the decision-making process. So it's kind of like an internal benefit, knowing that you're contributing and you're bringing value and you're helping to promote your values. And finally, a sense of belonging. So, and I want to talk a bit more about a sense of belonging because this is probably the most powerful motivator of them all. With town halls, swarm sessions, initiatives like Gimbal Labs or IDFest, or our many diverse Discord channels that has hundreds of people live online. This is not like the absolute number. This is like whoever was online last time I checked. You get a chance for real human connection. The number one thing that people say about their experience in Catalyst and decentralized governance is the amazing humans they meet and connect with. And finally, let's talk about decentralization. So we're currently working on decentralizing the protocol and parameter updates. So there's like an entire mechanism that's right now being developed in order to do that. And we're talking about, and by the way, you're invited to watch Kevin Hammond's presentation in the same stream that would go into it in much bigger detail. we're talking about decentralized consent, okay? So the ability for basically the system to ask for permission when we're doing big fundamental changes, for example, voting on the DCF proposal, or we might want to have some sort of a kind of a founding document for Cardano, or an agreed set of community values. So these are all consent decisions that will be enabled with Voltaire. Then we're talking about decentralized elections, like getting representatives from voting to the circle.
I'm going to mute for just a second as they talk about decentralized elections. I'm going to step away from the computer, going to leave it on governance. If you're not interested in watching governance, I don't know of another stream currently. Feel free to hang out. Make sure you like the video, retweet the tweet. That way we can keep people in here and seeing Cardano. I will be back in probably about 20-25 minutes and we'll do another drawing, okay?
And where probably we should be going. So just to give you a bit of a bigger look on these things. So this is one level of Zoom, and Kevin will take us to the next level on his other presentation. But what we have in store is a system that starts with a round of voting within Catalyst, and where people can propose and vote changes in the protocol, updates for protocol parameters, and then a committee elected by the community itself through a decentralized vote submit this proposal on chain, followed by an on-chain and public vote to basically ratify the decision, taking on the Catalyst sidechain, and finally an automatic activation of that proposal, that triggers a protocol update. So when we talk about consent, we're talking about a vote about the DCF proposal. We're talking about an approval of MIR transfers through Catalyst, which basically, not to go too much into the technical details, MIRs are a way to transfer funds from the treasury to those who are eligible for rewards. So basically, the community given explicit consent for using the Catalyst system for transferring these funds, and potentially something like a Cardano constitution. And when we talk about decentralized elections, so we're talking about voting for this on-chain proposal submission committee, electing Catalyst members where appropriate, and electing stewards, okay, people who work for the network, that are accountable to the community, that are paid for their work by a decentralized Cardano treasury. And finally, when we're talking about sense making, this is probably the most important of all the mechanisms, because in this world of uncertainty, of let's say, from fake news and manipulation, complexity, data overflow, how do we process this information to make good decisions, to have awareness of our environment? And we've built and are continuing to build a stronger and stronger system of decentralized sense making. Okay, so it starts from the voters themselves, right, that express which proposals they approve or not as a strong signal of what direction we want to take and decide on the challenges. And then we have the challenge teams that are basically responsible to make sense and address the question, are these challenges being solved, right? So they scrutinize reports, they communicate back to the community on the different challenges, and they help facilitate information transfer between proposing teams that are in the same challenge. Then we have community advisors who share their own perspective on proposals and assess them. And this in Fund 6, we had more than around 711 proposals with I believe, around 5 unique reviews per proposal accomplished. So this is like an amazing achievement. Then we have validators. So this is something where we will launch in the coming months, which is basically an incentivized layer of people who actually validate that proposers are doing the work they're supposed to do, okay, that their reports are true. And then we have the proposers themselves that are experimenting and trying and launching and learning and reporting back. And it all goes back into a dashboard the community can explore. And finally, the Catalyst Circle, a group of elected representatives that all their job is to talk to their groups and source problems and opportunities, and then coordinate which problems we want to prioritize and communicate and provoke to get solved. So as you see, it's a very rich layer, and it just keeps on growing and growing. So in the end, as we are, facing head-on with those really big problems, really big challenges, I want to welcome you all to the experiment. Things may break, like documentation, differ greatly between iterations, disorient, overload, and inspire. And we're here for you. Our goal is to provide a safe and lively environment for you to explore the highest potential of human collaboration. Good luck.
So sorry about that. Had to run the dogs out. We're at the main stage. I think we're at like a lull when it comes to what's currently happening. Let's turn on the background music here. I think that there's a lull right now in the schedule. This is probably just so people can get food and whatnot. We're gonna go to the main stage and watch the Real Fi. Alright. We just need to get close enough to the screen. Cool, the world's purple. We're gonna do another giveaway here in just a second, guys. Let me just get close enough to the screen so I can hit the full screen button. Oh, it won't let you until... I don't think it'll let you until something's happening. So we'll just hang out here for a second. Sorry, I had to go outside with the dog. Let us go ahead and get another drawing done. So let me make sure everyone has that Twitter link. Retweet this link for a chance to win 25 ADA. Oops. All you have to do is retweet on Twitter. That's it. There's nothing fancy with the giveaway. I'm wandering downstairs for a second. When I get back upstairs, we'll do the drawing. So simply retweet the Twitter post. That's really all you have to do. I will recommend go ahead and share the YouTube video link with friends, family, Discord servers or whatever. That way we can get more people in here instead of having those fake streams at the top of YouTube. I do see there's still 2 fake streams that are up there that are just sending out BS information on Cardano. Yeah, there's no way to watch this like live without having to be in the metaverse, which is why I'm doing this live stream. So yeah, we're just gonna hang out here. Turtle is dope for sure, for sure. Let's go into fly mode while we wait. By the way, I can give you a Cardano update. Let's see. Let's go ahead and get the Twitter done, get the Twitter drawing done. This is 3 of 4, by the way, 3 of number 4. I'm currently loading this. If you haven't hit the retweet button, you're about to miss out. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, we currently have 140 entries. Let's go ahead and share the screen so you can see what I'm seeing. Okay, so 140 entries. We're doing 1 winner this time around, and we have 1 more left. So we're gonna go ahead and hit begin draw. Big Jacko Little Minis being our third. So we'll go ahead and grab that. Transition back to just the main screen. Let you guys know that third winner. Congrats, Big Jacko. I will reach out in just a second. So maybe I can get you a little message here. It says you can't be messaged. Make sure you follow my Twitter so I can message you. you don't follow my Twitter, I cannot message you. Once you've followed me back, it'll allow. Oh wait, no, I think you are following. I think it's just glitched. Give it a second. It's because I just followed you back. I won't be able to. I won't be able to message you for just a minute. But we'll get you a message once we're done. Thank you for everyone who is sticking around and hanging out. You guys are amazing. Make sure you like the YouTube video to help push it to the top and also continue to send it out. Okay, it looks like we are back. So we'll go back to first person and brace yourselves for this next one.
Welcome everyone to our panel, RealFi from Cardano, opening up opportunities for everyone. I am Joanna Ossinger, the Asia Crypto Czar at Bloomberg News, and I am pleased to be speaking with Charles Hoskinson, who basically needs no introduction, and from M. Pellerin, the Chief Technology Officer, and Dinal Patel, Chief Product Officer. So let's get started. Charles, if you can talk a little bit about what is RealFi? Does the concept replace DeFi? Is it an evolution of it? Or is it something that can coexist? How do they align?
Well, first off, thank you so much for joining us, John. It's an honor to have you here. And, let's talk about the industry and DeFi and RealFi. How do all these pieces come together? So decentralized finance is a kind of a term that's a bit nebulous right now. And it kind of stands for things like oracles and dexes and stable coins and all these other things that we've seen crop up on Ethereum and other platforms. And usually there's some idea that these platforms are somehow decentralized. So they're different from traditional legacy providers like Bloomberg and Thomson Reuters and banks and exchanges like Coinbase. And of course, there's a varying degree of opinion on what does decentralization mean there. We decided that it made sense to kind of create a superset of DeFi, and we're calling that RealFi, and it's really a combination of a collection of things. And so first, we've noticed that a lot of DeFi applications tend not to have a notion of identity for their participants and users. And that can be identity in an abstract sense, not just people, but also devices, things, other smart contracts. And that's kind of a core building block if you're going to talk about the large-scale movement of information and value. Second, there's kind of the twin of identity, which is metadata. This is the who, what, where, when, how of transactions. And it's exceedingly important, especially in financial transactions, that there be rich metadata in them. And a lot of DeFi has inconsistent standards about how that's going to be applied. Third, you tend to need some notion of governance for these types of platforms. So how do they grow? How do they evolve? How do they change? Normally under centralized finance, that's very clear. Coinbase gets to decide how the Coinbase trading platform is going to stay competitive, grow, and evolve and change. But unfortunately, when you go to the decentralized world, that becomes a much more difficult situation because a lot of the participants and users of these platforms don't have the domain expertise necessary to understand what to do with them and how to evolve them. They just want to be consumers. Yet if not them having a say, then who does have the say in how these things evolve and change? Then you have the issue of standards and certification. We've seen tons of hacks, some in the tens, some in the hundreds of millions of dollars in the DeFi space, and those hacks are having a profound effect on consumer confidence, consumer protections, and overall the viability and growth of this ecosystem. So how do you ensure that they're secure and they follow standards and they're interoperable with each other? You can ensure them, you can regulate them. Speaking of regulation, how do you automate regulation so that regulation can work in a way where it's built right into the transaction itself? And then finally, there's a product market fit where a lot of these applications tend to be consumed by affluent kids in New Jersey or other places. But then, the reality is, if you're talking about peer-to-peer lending, peer-to-peer insurance, a replacement of the legacy financial infrastructure, that's really a conversation for people who are underserved or unserved in those domains. So, for example, if you're a farmer in Kenya or a business owner in San Salvador, in El Salvador, a lot of these people pay 6% a month or more for lending rates. Which is just absolutely predatory and usurious, but they do that because they don't have access to any other system. The point of RealFi is to say, let's put a combination of these things together to be able to serve these right markets, real people, real finance, and thus be able to actually innovate and do interesting things. Now, it's important caveat here. We're not saying these things are compulsory. They're optional. The point of great systems and great platforms is that they give the people who build on top of them a toolbox, and then they decide how to use that toolbox for their customers. And that's another point of saying that RealFi is a superset of DeFi, because you can re-implement the existing DeFi experiences that you want just the way they are today, or you can continue to add to them. And when we look at the regulatory environment, we look at where things are going, it's very clear that there's a demand for standards. It's very clear that regulation is coming for DeFi. For example, Uniswap looks like it just got some attention from the Securities Exchange Commission. There was a Wells notice from Coinbase, and these types of things. And as a consequence, over the next 12, 24 months, it's our belief that the majority of DeFi providers will be systematically upgrading to RealFi, to actually encumber identity and metadata, to create proper standards and make sure that they're secure and functional, and to also make sure that they resolve the issues of regulation and governance, and also they're in the market for new customers. Cardano has always been about entering the developing world. We really want to focus on the 3 billion who don't have reliable access to financial services. And if you look at a lot of the markets that we play in, we're super excited about bringing those markets in through identity and through wallets to the cryptocurrency space, and then giving them access to RealFi. So for the first time ever, they can actually participate in a global market fairly.
Okay, thank you. So identity is something that can easily be taken for granted. So what are some of the situations or examples of people who are living without identity, and what does it restrict them from accessing? Danal, can you take that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. I think, first of all, it's important to recognize really the scale of the problem. Over a billion people have no identity, and many of those include subsistence farmers and refugees. And the primary roadblocks that keep these billion people locked out of traditional identification systems include things like lack of access. They're not even able to get to an office where you can get an ID, costs associated with getting those ID, cumbersome paperwork processes, and also the lack of knowledge about how to get an ID. And conversely, with all of that, over these billion people actually have mobile phones. And what this does, it paves the way for blockchain-based mobile identity systems like we're building with Atala Prism.
Okay, interesting. So what are some of the current barriers to DeFi adoption, and how do you see Cardano solving them?
Well, some of the ones I see, clearly over-collateralization is a problem where, people have to put up 200 or 300% collateral before they can take out a loan. And, we're looking to solve that with Cardano by introducing novel mechanisms for credit rating or credit scoring. We've got concepts around leveraging Atala Prism, for example, to build a credit bureau, or even working together with telecom partners for AI-based credit scoring. Another big issue is around user experience. Many of our competitors in the DeFi space, you've got many projects with many different tokens. And one of the things that we're looking to do really is to enable this more frictionless DeFi experience with concepts like native stablecoins and oracles. Another big one is security. Every other day you're hearing about, a major hack. In Cardano, some of the things we're looking to introduce is a really robust certification framework that really extends the secure platform that we've built, and being able to carry this right through to the dApps that are built on top of Cardano. The other thing I would say is really broad-based adoption. DeFi is quite niche, mostly focused on the core crypto industry, whereas we're really looking to open this up, enabling really financial opportunities for everyone. Another key thing is really volatile fees. So people that are looking to build a business, this is something that they have to deal with, especially when prices of assets really spike. On Cardano, we're we've actually introduced some papers which talk about some of our ideas around building stable fees on the protocol.
Okay, and Charles, did you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, in general, it's a game of iteration. So the key behind a successful DeFi strategy, I think, is built in 3 different layers. So your first layer is saying, okay, how do the underlying protocols evolve, and how do we learn from each other, and how do we make sure they actually do what's on the label? So if you're saying an oracle, you have to be pretty good at injecting information into the system, and that information has to be accurate, and you have to be, as a consumer of the information, able to assess the level of veracity, the truthiness of such things. If you're talking about a DEX, you have to at least be somewhat comparable in terms of user experience and use cost to legacy systems, or otherwise, why are you doing it? If you're talking about a stable coin, you have to be at least as stable as the US dollar or some medium that we tend to use, or else how can you convince somebody who's holding cash, go take this thing that is less stable than the thing that you're already used to having? So there's a comparability there in terms of user experience and ease of use that has to be resolved, and that has to be standardized across the entire industry for liquidity purposes. Second, you have to have the right collaborative model for getting these protocols into the hands of people who are in the jurisdictions that need them the most. So not everybody has connectivity, for example. And this is why we got partners like World Mobile. This is why we think a lot about a hub and spoke model, where you have maybe someone in town who has an internet connection, and that person can serve an entire community, and it doesn't then require everybody in the community to have a cell phone or have internet connectivity and so forth. And that person effectively becomes a small business model for a last mile issue. And then third, you have to have the right funding in this to ensure that these solutions can grow and evolve. And what makes Cardano very unique is that we have Catalyst. So there's almost $1 billion of ADA sitting there ready to be deployed for the community, that every a heartbeat, 6 to 8 weeks, a new funding round begins. And those funding rounds basically allow the community from all around the world, they don't have to be from Silicon Valley or New York or Singapore or London, they can be in Kampala, they can be in Lagos, they can be in, Batumi. It doesn't really matter where they're at. They can say, hey, I have this great idea, big or small, and let's go ahead and decentralize the access to capital. So if you have those 3 components of the right standards and the equivalent user experience to the legacy system and the cost level to the legacy system, you have the right business models in terms of the right participants like merchants and other things, and you address connectivity issues and so forth, and you combine that with funding, I think that's really the secret sauce, and why we have yet to see a significant adoption of DeFi in places like El Salvador, in places like Argentina, in places like Congo or South Africa, the places that frankly need them the most. We're just not quite there. And then finally, you need to have a good story about how will regulation be addressed in the future for all of these things. And what makes this such a complicated discussion is that you're dealing with a transnational regulatory problem. So everybody tends to think, well, what does the U.S. Treasury Department care about? Well, in some cases, that doesn't matter at all. The regulations that may be relevant could be 12 other countries that have nothing to do with the U.S. Treasury Department. So the question is, how do you, in an environment where you could build an application where literally you could have users from 150 countries concurrently who are small value, and there's no central reporting entity, how do you ensure that those 150 different countries are happy? And if they're not, well, how does that get sorted out? This is the great challenge of the adoption of DeFi and RealFi. Traditionally, there was a gatekeeper model. You would go and create an account, and the person you're creating the account with would be held liable if there was a problem to that. And they would make decisions of whether they wanted you as a customer or not. For example, many people in the United States who try to get bank accounts abroad, because the cost of regulation is so onerous, they actually get denied accounts. It was very difficult for me as a U.S. citizen to get a bank account in Switzerland. And it was very difficult for our company to get a bank account in Hong Kong when we were there with HSBC, not because of local regulation, but because of compliance with the U.S. regulator. Well, you can do that as a centralized business. You can't do that as an open access protocol that welcomes everybody and serves everybody. So the big meta challenge, in addition to those 3 sub challenges for growth and adoption, is how do you actually create a system where people can have their cake and eat it too? And basically the system self-regulates and it self-maintains, and it has things like consumer protection. It has things like transparency of flow of funds and these things, so that there's not money laundering or terrorist financing or these types of problems. And that's the great balancing act. What's really cool, though, is that we see a lot of proactive regulatory innovation happening in the developing world, where these countries are actually encoding in their laws standards, even inside the United States. Like, for example, Wyoming with the Dow law, or other things we've seen where they've said, "Hey, Bitcoin is now legal tender." It's pretty cool to see that, and that bodes very well for functional automated regulation to actually be baked into the design of the protocol. And I think those factors together are the glue that's going to bind a migration of people from the legacy system to the new system. If anything, just because of the lower transaction fees, the lower operating costs, in some cases orders of magnitude, and also the ability to access emerging markets, which collectively are worth trillions of dollars, but are currently inaccessible. Roman, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, two things. One is interoperability is needed between systems. So like you said, we need standards to be defined. So people who are in different countries can actually interact and through a smart contract. Because if you can't connect your system or define your system through the smart contract, you can't interact, basically. So enforcing interoperability, standard, certifying that an application is actually compatible with a standard, being sure that the model that you handle, the data that you share can be consumed elsewhere. For example, when I moved to the US, I actually lost totally my banking history and my health record, right? I was a newborn here in the US. That's an example of disconnected systems. So interoperability is required, but you also need security. And the security is absolutely essential for RealFi. Those systems, Cardano and other blockchain, will actually run the financial operating system of tomorrow. And in order to take this responsibility, you need to provide the security associated to the users and also to the developers of the smart contracts that are going to encode processes in the blockchain and describe and define services. So we have things in the pipe for this, with certification, verification of smart contracts.
Okay, great. And so now let's talk a little bit more about some of what this means for users in kind of the wider ecosystem in the world. So, if you can maybe just elaborate on some of the things we've discussed. For instance, safety. So how does IOG's research-led approach to Cardano make it a safer solution for DeFi? Charles, can you take that one?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing where you have these systems that are valued now equivalent to what you would expect from a Fortune 500 company that has decades of legacy, armies of scientists, armies of engineers. And then you have all these kids running it, and when something breaks, they say, "Oh, well, it is what it is. Open source project, buyer beware." I think the industry has to have higher standards about quality and about safety, and also about assurance that the things we're claiming are true. When you talk about the world of protocols, the assurance is from science. So when I say something is provably secure, when I say something works, when I say something can defend against an adversary, we have a standard that we've been following for over 40 years in the academic world. It's the peer review process. And we do this for cryptography. And it works so well that the military trusts it for secure communications, the intelligence agencies trust it for classified information. So we think we should use those same processes and standards about getting to truth about resilience against adversaries and engage the same institutions. So, for example, universities, academics, professors, graduate students, postdocs, and go through the same burdens that they have to go to get tenure, i.e. publish, write papers, have those papers go through peer review. If anything, because then objective neutral third parties can come in and say, what is true, what's not true. When you ask anybody, is your product great? Is your product safe? Is your product, oh, of course it's great and it's safe and it's secure. It's just like going to a drug company. Is your product safe? If I take it, will it give me the things that you want? Well, before the FDA existed, we had people going around mixing mercury and cocaine together and putting a little bit of radium on top and saying, this will cure all that ails you. And they said, yeah, okay, maybe we should change that system a little bit. They said, perhaps you have to provide evidence of the claims that you make, that these things do what you claim they do. And that's basically all we ask. And that evidence is the standards and burdens that the academic community uses. Now, on the software side, you also can do evidence. And this is used all the time in the aerospace industry. This is done all the time in building trains or other things where you have systems where the failure of that system results in the loss of billions of dollars or life or both. So every single time you get on an airplane, every single time an astronaut gets into a rocket or a space shuttle, every single time you write medical software where the pacemaker has to work, all of those things, if that fails, you're dead. And so you have to use different standards for how you write that software and a chain of evidence that the software was written correctly. And we have so many examples where every now and then we kind of didn't measure up, like the Boeing 737 MAX that crashed in Ethiopia. And it turned out that there were some very significant and severe software issues there alongside design failures in that system, which would have been resolved with the use of formal methods. So what we do is we take formal methods engineering, which is a subdomain within computer science, and we apply those techniques and tools to translate the science that we write into code. Now, why is this not done in Silicon Valley or in industry? Well, because it's very, very methodical, expensive, and perceived to be quite slow. So the real innovation that input-output figured out was how do we over time build processes and systems where we can apply these two things, the peer review process and the formal methods process, with not necessarily a heavy touch and not necessarily a light touch, but just right, that Goldilocks zone for the class of protocols that we have, so we don't have to wait 10 years for something to get done. You can get things done in months to years that normally would take decades under the old model. And the advantage of that is we catch a huge amount of bugs, design flaws, or semantical issues up front before that software is deployed to the customer. Second, by doing that, you eventually can upgrade those tools to a point where those tools become accessible for small to medium-sized businesses, entrepreneurs who want to apply a light touch to ensure that their dApps and their applications are actually successful. So one of the beautiful things that's an output of what we've developed is that we actually have multiple certification partners that are presenting here at the conference, from QVIC to runtime verification and Twig and others, who actually have tools and techniques that a dApp developer can utilize. Some are automated, some are manual, and they can be utilized in the weeks to months to get a high level of assurance that the application was designed correctly. And ultimately, what does that mean? Less DAO hacks, less Thor chains, lots of all of these types of things that we've seen in the industry, so that there's a higher degree of certainty that these things are built correctly. So it was very expensive to get here. We as a company, I think, probably have spent well more than $50 million getting those processes right over the last 6 years. And we've had to work with many different people in industry, like we're founding members of the Haskell Foundation. We've invested a lot of money in formal methods tools. We've become core developers of the classical Haskell compiler. We have a lot of experts in formal methods in our company, and we regularly contribute to those. And we've even had to build bespoke tools for Plutus and for Cardano smart contracts in general, specifically to assist that. but that all of that infrastructure was built to be a toolbox for the application builder in their decision about what is the Goldilocks zone of quality and assurance for their application. Furthermore, the academic process that we followed has inspired dozens, if not hundreds, of scientists that we've never met, we don't pay, to come into our industry and start writing papers in our industry. And what that means is you have a culturally neutral, linguistically neutral, gender neutral viewpoint of these things, where suddenly there's no founder. There's now a decentralized brain that encompasses the academy, and they know that by publishing papers and doing research in our industry that they can actually get tenure. There's been over 111 papers we've written as a company, and there's a lot of derivative work of those papers, like Nakamoto proof of stake, for example, that came from scientists that we didn't have a relationship with. They just saw the work that we had done, and they realized there was merit there and decided to do a follow-up work from it. So that ensures the long-term viability and the vibrance of protocol innovation, because you don't need a central entity. You have a web of universities that are always refreshing and renewing. Every year there's always new graduate students coming in. Every year there's new people starting new things. And there's many governments and other entities, student tuition, that fund that innovation. So there's a diverse set of funding as well for constant protocol innovation. So it's a beautiful ecosystem in that respect, and it's really come together, but it was tough to get it to that point. It took years and well more than $50 million. So I wouldn't want to go through all of it again, but I'm glad that we're on the other side.
Oh, interesting. Okay, thank you. So how will this work in, say, low infrastructure regions where internet access isn't a guarantee? Dinal, can you address that?
Well, specifically to different wallet solutions, we're building a range of different wallet solutions for different stakeholders. So we recognize the fact that these stakeholders might have different devices, from feature phone, smartphone, a laptop. And one of the things that we're doing specifically for the unbanked segment, who we know might not have connectivity, is we're partnering together with a number of providers who have low-cost hardware wallets, which are capable of holding their value and also their identity. And all these users need to do really is just to present this card at a point of interaction and authenticate themselves, and then they're able to benefit from a lot of the capabilities that we're enabling through the Cardano platform.
Okay, and Romain, maybe you can talk about what are the benefits of developing this in an open source way.
So blockchains are decentralized networks, and so open source is mandatory to run an operating system and develop an operating system at a large scale globally. So open source facilitates collaboration. You can look at the code, you can bring the new features that you want to see in the system. You can review features and prioritize features. So there's a strong need or benefit for coordinating development in a large-scale community with contributors from everywhere in the world. It's also important for that no one owns the protocols, right? So it's in open source. No one owns it. Everyone can contribute and bring a new feature. When you contribute, you can actually, since we have the same code base, you can look at who is contributing. So you can actually organize the development. You can retribute developers for their contributions, for example. So open source is absolutely mandatory for us if we want our protocols to become standard that everyone are relying on. The security, it brings security for the code base, because everyone looks at it. So the more eyes you have on a crypto primitive or on a networking protocol, the better quality you'll have at the end. everyone can review and verify that everything works correctly. Even the users can, since smart contracts on-chain are in clear, you have the code source of the application available to you, right? So you can verify on the fly that you are interacting with the right contract, and that that code is the one that has been validated by the community. So openness, transparency, all of this is absolutely required if we want to become the standard for finance.
Okay, and Romain, can you talk a little bit also about, volatility of fees, for instance, being a sticking point in adoption in the smart contract space? So how is IOG looking to change that?
So we have several ways of dealing with this. So the first one is actually reacting to the movement in prices of the base layer currency. So we have protocol parameters we can adjust to actually compensate this evolution of price. But we are working on stable fees. So using a stable coin to pay the fees of a contract. And what we also announced is the Babel fees, the fact that tokens can actually use their own token to define fees, and for the users to pay for a particular service relying on a particular token, this can be paid in a particular in the underlying token. So I'm sure Dinal and Charles have ideas on this.
Yeah, I mean, predictability of cost is an absolutely essential thing for infrastructure. Could you imagine building a business where they say, okay, well, the cost of electricity could be $10 today and tomorrow $1,000, and your margin's 500? You'd say, well, some days I'm making great money and other days I'm actually losing money. How do I know? And they say, well, you can't. And that's basically where we're at when we talk about computational infrastructure for smart contracts. There's a huge amount of volatility. And the other thing is that there's two competing demands that tug against each other that are irreconcilable in a certain respect. So one demand is this demand for Bitcoin-style economics, where you have a finite monetary policy, capped supply, and use and utility creates appreciation of the underlying asset. That's what we've seen with Bitcoin. But then for a computational fuel, what you care about is predictable cost. Okay, so you want that to be stable over a long horizon. You don't want it to do this or do that. You want it just to do that, because then I can make a decision, does this make sense for my business model? And ideally, you'd like that cost to actually go down or stay constant with the set of users that you have. So what that means is that you need to have the accommodation of both these monetary policies in order for the system to be stable and sustainable. And that's one of the things that we've been looking very closely at. Can we construct fee models and structures where you can enjoy Bitcoin-style monetary policy, but at the same time, when you're talking about the consumption of computational fuel, that actually has some sort of price stability about it. And so we have some great papers and ideas. We published a blog post recently on Babel fees. We've been talking about stable fees for a while. And what's nice about the design of Cardano is that this can layer quite beautifully on the system that we have. And with community consent, the community can make some decisions of how close to the protocol do they want these things to be. They can run as layer 2, they can run as applications, or they can be built into the protocol itself. And the people are in charge. They'll make ultimately the decisions of where they want to go and what they want to do. And we just kind of provide options. Now, one other point is that whenever you talk about complexity is usually in a diverse system handled by heterogeneity. So, for example, human beings were very complicated compared to single-cell organisms. Okay, so what do human beings require? We have eye cells and nerve cells and heart tissue and reproductive tissue and so forth. So we have different cells that are specialized for certain tasks, and they work together interdependently, and they create one organism that's then capable of dealing with a more complicated environment. Well, similarly, when you talk about the need for DeFi, suddenly you've gone well beyond a store of value and push transactions like where Bitcoin exists. Now you're talking about identity, and you're talking about metadata, and actually you're talking about specialization, where certain actors in the system form certain tasks and utility. So, for example, the existence of proof of stake admits the existence of a stake pool operator. That's a specialized piece of tissue in the system, and that allows then acceleration and unification of faster network broadcast and all kinds of things that allows a more complicated organism. Well, you can reuse that infrastructure for other tasks, especially for computation. And this is the power of things like Hydra and the power of things like sidechains. The existence of SPOs means they can maintain the consensus of not just one system, but many systems, and those other systems can have different computational assumptions. The main chain can be Plutus and the extended UTXO model, which the Ethereum people seem to love a lot today. Or you could have another chain, which is the EVM, or another chain, which is LLVM, that's Yella, and then suddenly you have legacy programming languages that you can bring in. All of those can live in one system. Different competing computational models with different monetary policies, different computing fields. And then the operators themselves can actually be hubs for distributed computation. So that means the more stake pools that you have, the more parallelism you get in the processing of smart contracts. So overall, the more resources that are available. And this is what we mean by building a sustainable but scalable system. Those are those two hallmarks. And then an interoperable system, that third hallmark of a third generation cryptocurrency, the ability to do many things that allow specialized tissue to form within inside the system. So it's a bear of a problem, and there's many moving pieces, and that's why being the CTO and the chief product officer of this organization, two of the hardest roles, because you kind of have to be both wide in your skill sets and deep at the same time in your skill sets. But we've managed to, I think with Cardano, get the right balance of things. And that wasn't for lack of trying. We spent about 6 years very clearly thinking about this model, and we have, I think, the right set of features and functionality that will enable this interoperable, scalable, yet sustainable system and achieve that dual monetary policy goal of a Bitcoin-style monetary policy that people have come to know and love in the industry, but then cost stability for those who are actually building businesses on these systems.
Okay, thanks, Charles. So actually, we just have a few minutes left. So maybe if you can kind of wrap up with how you build a solution that can serve the needs of everyone, say governments, enterprises, individuals. I think we have about 3 minutes left. So
well, why don't we talk about the Ministry of Education deal that we've been doing in Ethiopia? Donald, do you want to give a shot at that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, maybe I'll start answering that from a different perspective as well. I mean, one of the things I've been doing in my team as well is reorganizing ourselves so that we obsess really about each of these stakeholders. So if you take Cardano as an example, we've got product managers that are obsessing about the stake pool experience. We've got product managers that are looking at the API layer and obsess about the exchange experience, how partners can integrate with Cardano. We've actually created a new role around smart contracts and developer experience as well, so that we provide basically the best tools to build on Cardano and really lower the barriers of entry as well. And we're investing heavily as well, actually, in more user-facing applications like our light wallets, and employing as well a lot of design thinking methodologies around that. And we spent quite a lot of resource in terms of user experience to make these as easy as possible. And we've spent a lot of time actually speaking to many stakeholders in the community that will use these wallets. And I think the more obsessed we are with our customers and users, and also acknowledging the fact that it's quite a diverse set of users, that's how we actually will craft a platform and an ecosystem that really works for everyone.
Okay, great. Okay, so now we have about 2 minutes. Charles, do you want to do wrap up?
Sure. What would you like to wrap up?
Well, just what are the benefits of this? How does it work for everyone? And kind of what's a takeaway that you want everyone to get?
Well, I think the final takeaway, at least for me, is that the building of Cardano's been like a spiral. And when that spiral is very tight, you can only do a small set of things. But then as the spiral grows, you get larger and larger, grander and grander, more and more people come in, more and more entities come in. And now we're in a position where there's more than a dozen development companies that just worry about the infrastructure of Cardano. And there's tens of thousands of people actively involved in the governance of Cardano, and there are thousands of stake pools involved in the maintenance of the ecosystem. And that's where we're at today here in 2021. And what's beautiful about this is baked into the DNA of the system is this idea of progressive decentralization and inclusiveness. We keep adding. So we keep gaining users, we keep gaining projects, we keep gaining capabilities. So that spiral continues to grow. And what's beautiful is that we're following first principles. So we're not beholden to the ideas of Bitcoin or Ethereum or the legacy financial system. We're really just starting from the perspective of, if you could reimagine how the world works, how would you do it differently? And what's so cool about it is we were kind of given that opportunity as a project. We were given a blank slate to go hire the scientists. We were given a blank slate to go do new engineering or write completely new code. And we've gotten to a point where so many people have come on board that the project is stable and it's going to be here forever. It's just a question now of what level of impact are we going to have, and ultimately what use and utility will this paradigm be most useful for. My belief is you could run a nation state on this type of infrastructure. Not today, but in 3 to 5 years, definitely possible. My belief is also that this is going to give us a lot of real-life data about how to do governments differently. A macro problem that you see in society as a whole is people are fundamentally unhappy with governance. That's why we have the protests. That's why we have so much lack of trust in institutions. That's why basic things like, do vaccines work or not, there's so much skepticism of that. Under ordinary, normal circumstances, people would trust institutions. They'd say, oh, yeah, everything's fine. But now no one trusts anything. There's always a conspiracy theory somewhere lurking somewhere. And so that it tells you that there's an appetite for new systems, new ways of governance, new types of institutions. Instead of saying trust us, says can't lie. Instead of don't be evil, it says can't be evil. These types of things. And what Cardano is trying to do is position itself in the marketplace of ideas to be a legitimate option for at least some of these systems and some of these institutions. Now, I'm an ambitious guy. I'm kind of young. So I'd like all the institutions and all the systems. But, maybe we get just voting, or maybe we just get payments, or maybe we just get a better way of running the currencies of nation states that's a bit more fair and it can't be influenced or coerced by politicians. Who knows where that gets cut? But of course, if we are lucky, my belief is that ultimately it's going to push us towards a much more fair and transparent, open and decentralized world with systems that aren't so volatile, where some days they work, some days they don't work. Some day everything is great, and the next day it's 2008 and the whole market's collapsed. Some days you're happy with your voting system, and then you're not happy the next day. I don't think any of us like living in those worlds filled with so much inconsistency, and it's about time we get back to stability and normality.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that, Romain, Dinal, Charles. Really appreciate you sharing your thoughts, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
All right, that was quite informative. I'm excited for more stuff to come. We'll go ahead and turn down the volume so I don't blast myself here. Let's see. Oh, it looks like main stage is lagging again. Let's pop on the background music again. Make sure it's not super loud. Yeah, so Sam, I understand that if this is live, then how is he just on stage? So some of the information provided is pre-recorded. Obviously, the man can't be live 2 full days. And he also can't be in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different locations at once. So it's pre-recorded. Let's see. What are we about to start? The future of on-chain governance. We could switch over to building DApps with Plutus. Let's finish up our last giveaway real quick. And actually, we won't leave this spot just yet. So we're gonna do our last giveaway. Simply make sure that you have retweeted. Make sure you have retweeted that tweet that I just put in chat. And we'll pull a winner here in just a second. This is the last of the winners for the day. We have given away 75 ADA, and this will make 100 for the day given away. Also, for anyone who's curious, let's see, how do I share this? Let's do this. So, if we take a look at our trading view to see what the days consisted of when it comes to market and when it's done. This was prior to the event, so the event went live at 11. And then this is at the end of Charles speaking. Well, actually, I think it was 45, somewhere right here. But this was after that announcement. So we've had a little up and down volume. Obviously, this is the buy the hype, sell the news kind of thing here. We're resting at a 239, which isn't super terrible. So that produces a very nice push here.
Hello.
We'll go ahead and let's go ahead and pick this next winner though. So
I immigrated here from Israel, so it's like a very different place.
I am
the
gonna
Bay
mute
Area
this
is
for a
a bit
second.
like some kind of future.
I'm gonna keep that muted for just a second here. Did we have to do it each time? Nope. As long as you have retweeted the tweet, you're safe. So let's go to the picker. We're gonna load, disable this information, continue. And so the last and final winner of 25 ADA or Cardano for the day is going to be Nuno. So we'll pull you up on Twitter here and go ahead and get you that last 25 ADA sent over. Transition back to this and see what they're talking about on screen.
Saying like, I work for this organization that controls $1 billion fund that wants to figure out how to use these funds well and how to spend them effectively.
Congrats, Nuno.
Given that it has thousands or tens of thousands of people who are making decisions to govern it, and that's the most simplistic way I can present it. I mean, basically, Catalyst is the realization of all my fantasies. Like in a weird way, like professionally, this has been don't tell anybody. But I'm very, very happy and motivated about what I do because it's been 10 years I've been working on collaboration tools and really, really trying to think about how people can collaborate well at scale. And this is the very first time that I get to do that, not in a theoretical way, not in a kind of wishy-washy way, but for real, with real resources, real consequences, and gigantic, amazing, reactive community that is aligned and works together. I never thought this day would come, but that I would be in this position, but here it is. So I take the beautiful moments in. I think a nice aspect of Catalyst, if you really think about it, it's almost like a machine that converts these like raw tokens that sit in a treasury into resource in the hands of the people who are building the network. Okay, and that's what it does. It just transfers the wealth to the doers and to the reviewers and the maintainers of the system. It's a creativity machine, and it forms a collective incentive for everybody to channel their energies towards basically solving hard problems. The Catalyst community is a complex, interconnected network. Proposers, implementers, community advisors, communicators, lurkers, community champions, all these different people interact in each other and influence each other in deep and profound ways. We're all pulling ourselves up and evolving together. Much like the dynamics of tree growth. In order to grow, be tall and resilient, it's actually essential that it grows at a slow and steady pace. They take hundreds of years to grow to their full size, but by that time, the fundamentals, the base is sound, and they can reach the top of the forest. This is very similar to what we're doing in Catalyst with our experimentation and also the careful building of the community and the systems and the tools. We're making sure that we're going to be the tallest, most sustainable tree in the forest. I remember meeting this chief innovation officer of a Fortune 500 company, and I was presenting him the tool to uncover problems in the organization. That gave every employee the opportunity to express what they think is, what problems do I identify, and what kind of help do I need to perform well. And he was like, no, we can't do that. It will cause too much trouble for management if everybody is aware of all the problems we have and all the needs in the different departments of the organization. It's too much to deal with for us. One of the things I never got to do in Catalyst is, and I actually did doing my research, was deal with a lot of the psychological blocks people have about collaboration. And one of the major ones, the ability to express needs. You work in a traditional company, you are trained, I don't know what to call it, all a lifelong, you're trained to obey, you're trained to satisfy your boss. You're not supposed to say this is hard, this is difficult, this is uncomfortable, or I disagree with it. This is in a school environment. Can you do any one of these things? No, right? And this was our collective childhood at the family level, and your teacher level, in the kindergarten level. It's hard to say, but it's true, it's oppression, right? We've been oppressed very, very harshly since we were born, and everybody went through it, so everybody takes it as this is how it should be, or this is just the way things are. And what I realized in my research, even before my IOHK days, is that people don't even have the basic tooling to be able to express their needs. And I think over time we're going to get there in Catalyst, because it's not just the technological transformation, it's a consciousness transformation. That's the big competitive advantage, of a system of Catalyst over other collaboration technologies, is that we don't ignore the full human behind the technology. We're not just thinking abstractly about incentives and system design and interfaces, but we realize that actually at the center of it is a human being behind these that needs to operate, that wants to thrive. And then you need to reawaken within you a part of you that is free, that is autonomous, that is self-determining. And it can't happen via a neat interface or by incentivize. It has to happen through a deep meaningful experience, a series of deep meaningful experiences between you and others that creates trust, that creates a sense of bond, that creates a sense of meaning. And then little by little it happens. The transformation comes from inside.
I guess, what does Catalyst look like, and also what does Cardano look like when we get to 1 billion users?
We don't know. We'll never know. It's the thing is that there's in paradigm shifts, and I show I have this little graph I show of Catalyst. There's a point when there's a phase shift, when water becomes gas. Water becomes hot and hot and hot, more hot and more hot. Suddenly it becomes something completely different. Nobody knows the future, but my prediction is that by 2025 there will be a collective realization, not in Cardano community, but around the world. There's actually an alternative to the existing governance systems, not because it's more moral or the right thing to do, but because it's inevitable, because it produces better outcomes, it's more engaging, and actually that there was underneath it all a huge hunger, a thirst for an alternative those economical patterns, okay, of collaboration and human capacity for collaboration, it's a foundation, it's a base layer of everything. Everything comes based on top of that. That means that even a minor tweak on those fundamental primitives can cause huge change. There's gonna be another Cambrian explosion. But I think out of it would come something that we never dreamed is possible.
All right, so let's see. Let's turn this volume down again. That's all the giveaways I have for the day. Honestly, that was 100 ADA given away throughout the day. Why am I going so slow? Let's see if we can, I was told.
It's easier to reason about the behavior of programs.
I don't want to listen to this. I just want to go to each waterfall.
That underlies perhaps something we see happening in certification. We're thinking about certifying apps on Plutus in different ways. And certainly, ultimately, we can see
there doesn't look to be anything.
The highest level of certification being one where we do formal proof of correctness.
Anything else that was super interesting?
And that's something which is facilitated by writing
building this. Let's see.
But actually, closer in.
Yeah,
on the
I think we're waiting for later in the day. I'm gonna try to get
work from Qubit,
all the
experts on property-based testing.
Trying to get all of the what you call them
completed Catalyst.
NFTs.
If that's you. Well, first of all, a huge congratulations.
Let's do this. We'll turn this to them. We're trying to collect all the NFTs here. Boop. I might be done for the day too. I might have this in the background, but I think I'm done live streaming it only because I got other things that I have to be doing other than live streaming it. I threw this live stream up so then that way anyone who is having issues getting into the summit, but you should no longer have issues getting into the summit at this point. I want to say that you can still register. And you should get a link, and if you're having any kind of issues, make sure you use like a Gmail. I'm just trying to get all of my NFTs. There we go. Cool. Where am I at? Adoption, 2 more.
Ownership background, the store and the metadata, NFT, and the marketplace business logic itself. The source code is publicly available on the GitHub. You can see a link on the screen.
Yeah, no problem. I have to go. I have things I gotta do. I can't be live. Yeah, I think you have to go to these 7 waterfalls. Also, I was told that you have to go to the main stage and touch every pool of water. I wish I could keep the stream going, but I got things I gotta do. I gotta get off this live stream. Also, I don't think there's really much more super new and exciting, interesting things. I will be live tomorrow for a short period, cause tomorrow, what's tomorrow's schedule look like? Probably just for the just for that early morning. So probably from 11 to 12. And then potentially a couple hours tomorrow. Like Hydra is probably a good thing to hear about. Crypto Bisons might be a good one with the NFTs. Is there and maybe this live panel blueprint. So we'll see. We're gonna kind of pop through everything over tomorrow. Probably not much else today, only because it's been how long have we been live? We've been live like 4 hours. Where's my live time? We've been live for 3 hours and 48 minutes. Someone said that if you go to the main, well, let's do this. I think if you reload the page and you go to the first area and jump around, somewhere right here. Hello? Huh. Do I have what NFTs do I have? I have everything but Magical Bison and Gentle Turtle. The Discord tells you how to get them. Gentle Turtle. Oh, reply to people in chat. But how do you get chat? Is there... Chat. Hello. Hello. 1, 2. Why won't it let me talk to this person? Hello. Oh, I think there's a timer. There's a timer on how often you can send, unfortunately. Yeah, the Discord is... Where was it? Is it... No. I'll just link the Discord. I don't know where the Discord link is anymore. I forget. It was somewhere in one of these spots, but I'll just grab it for you. Discord. Discord.gg/input-output. Boop. Boop. That's the Discord link, so that way you can jump in. I need a couple more chats. Oh, it's right there. It's in chat. I forgot. What was it? Gentle Turtle was reply to 3 to 5 people in chat. So I should have that eventually. And it says touch the 3 to 4 pools on the main island. I've tried that, but it's so laggy. We'll try. Maybe it's these big pools. Oh. Okay, let's see. How did you get the 7 stingrays? 7 stingrays is watch a speaker in full screen for 15 minutes. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for posting that. The only one I don't think I have yet is the pools. Boop. I wonder how long you have to stand in the pool. Is there water over here? Yep. Huh, cool. That's cool stuff over there. I got magical bison! Alright, so the only one I'm missing is turtle. And I think... I got one more to get. Yeah, the only one I haven't gotten... Hey, I got gentle turtle. I got 7 out of 7. 7 out of 7. Woot woot. 7 out of 7. GG's, guys. So yeah, I'm gonna jump off for the day. Oh, I didn't. I must have missed it. It was. I'm going to call it a stream for the day. I'll be back on tomorrow in the beginning of the event as well, just in case people don't have access to this virtual summit again because it lagged out. But it has been. Can I get this to? It has been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you guys and watching this summit information. But yeah, make sure you. Honestly, the best way to find out if I go live tomorrow is going to be Twitter. I will post on Twitter once I go live, so make sure you are following my Twitter. I will get you my profile link again. Oops, those links. I'll make sure you hit that Twitter link, hit the follow button, and I will see you tomorrow. I will look at giving ADA away tomorrow as well. I gave away 100 ADA today. 2 of the people have not responded to the messages, so if they end up not responding by tomorrow, I'll give away their ADA to somebody else. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thanks everyone for stopping by. I will see you tomorrow. If you want to watch your own Cardano stuff, feel free to go to the virtual, I think it's virtualsummit.cardano.org. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I will see y'all tomorrow.